if you can see my screen, so right now I'm sharing my screen. I'm not able to see your comments, so I would appreciate if you can just let me know, yeah, by unmuting your mic and telling me if you can or cannot see my screen. Or just even before I share my screen, I think I just want to get a sense of who's in the room. So Solomon, it says that they are unable to unmute their screen. Sorry, their mics. I think it was because the host shut everyone is
Okay, I've given them permission to unmute now. I did that deliberately because they were all making noise.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. You can see your screen. How can you show?
Can't see the screen again, no.
We could see your screen before and we can hear you now.
I can't see the screen again.
We stop sharing the screen. Okay, we'll share it back.
to get you fired up for your next opportunity, right? It's to get you fired up for your next opportunity so that at the time you're done for this training, you're done with the YTP program and you've decided what path you want to toll, you have it in your arsenal to, be able to apply for a job and land that job with a really compelling CV. My first question to you is, do you have a CV? You can let me know on the chat if you currently have a CV, and I would pick randomly two people to share with us their CVs, and then we can look at them at the end of the class. So please let me know if you have a CV currently that you've been using for your job applications. Yes, okay, great. Now, I'm seeing all your response in the chat. Yes, you do have a CV, and that's great. Now, this class is basically going to help you improve your CV if you have an existing CV, or it is going, if you do not even have a CV at all, that is fine. The essence of this class is that you're going to learn how to write a compelling CV for your next job opportunity. So in a couple of minutes or in a couple of seconds, I'm going to share my screen and then you can see what we're going to be discussing today. So, so first of all, let me randomly pick who is going to show. So, okay, so if you have your CV on your phone or your device and you can share your screen, please type the word ready so that I can randomly pick, because I need you to show to the class your CV at the end of this class, and we together would review your CV after what we've learned from this class. So I'm going to pick Dario Ojanio. So Dario, please get ready to share your screen. Someone's mic is unmuted and I can hear myself. So I've randomly selected Dario. So we're going to review Dario's CV together as a class. And let's say we're going to review Promise Oluwasemilore Emmanuel's CV. Please do not unmute your mic except you're asked to do so, because it's going to distract the class. So, like I said, we're reviewing Dario's CV at the end of this class together, and we're also going to review Promise Oluwasemilore Emmanuel's CV together. So please, these people have selected, get your CV ready to share so that the class would review the CV together after all that we've learned today. Now, let's get right into the meat of the conversation. So what we're going to be learning about really today is how can you create a compelling CV for yourself? How can you create a compelling CV for yourself to land your next job opportunity? How can you create a compelling CV for yourself to land your next job opportunity? So my name is Praise. I am a management consultant and career coach. I've been doing this for a little over 5 years now. And today I want to I want to walk you through what I like to describe as the CV and cover letter writing masterclass. It's a masterclass because it's something that would get you ready for your next big opportunity. So I will, like Solomon, if you're on the call, can you confirm that my screen is showing or you can see my screen clearly? Solomon, if you're on the call, please, if you can confirm to me that my screen is visible.
Yes,
We can
your
see your
screen. I can see your
Awesome.
screen.
Awesome, thank you. So what we're going to go over today is introduction and objective of this session, what a CV is and how does it differ from a resume. Interesting fact about a CV, we're going to then look at the anatomy. I like to describe it as the anatomy of a winning CV. So when you think about anatomy in biology, you're looking at the comprehensive you're looking at the composition of the various parts of the body that forms the entire human body. So when you look at the human being, we have the hand, we have the leg, we have the shoulder. Solomon said I can use the. I think I'm fine on Zoom, Solomon. I did not need to join the live stream, but is the class streaming live already on YouTube?
Yes, yes, please. Your screen is very visible.
So like I was just, trying to understand. You asking me to join the live stream, and I didn't know why I needed to do that when I'm already on Zoom.
I'm sorry, it was a mistake.
Okay.
It was not meant for you. Yeah. So it's not for you.
All right. Okay. That's cool. So like I was saying, so we're going to look at the anatomy of a winning CV, how the various parts of a CV comes together to form that compelling CV that you're going to use to land your next job opportunity. We're going to look at various tips on creating a winning CV, what a cover letter is or what a cover email is, what are the elements of a cover letter or cover email, and tips to creating a winning cover letter. I'm adding the final element of it, which is going to be the class is going to review two people's CV on the call at the end of the session. So with everything that you've learned, I want you to pay attention because it's going to be like a speed test for everyone. So I'm going to be calling your name and asking you something about a person's CV that needs to be improved upon. So you need to pay attention to this class so that you're able to effectively do that at the end of the class. All right. So with the knowledge you've gained from this class, you are going to be able to look at a person's CV and tell the person if they have a good CV or not. So let's move forward. In terms of introduction, like I already I introduced myself. Why should you listen to me? Why do you think I'm
Hello.
the right person to have this session?
Promise, can you hear me? Okay, I
Um,
just got a message.
okay, I've muted Solomon because we could hear him before. Okay, so my name is Praise. Like I said, I'm a management consultant. Solomon, your mic is unmuted.
Yeah, I'm speaking. I'm talking to you.
Okay,
So
so you said
you
something.
are, yeah. So you are not your screen is not showing on YouTube.
My screen is not showing on YouTube.
Yeah, we can't see your screen right now. It's just only showing the first page that has introduction, objective, as in numbering, like number one, introduction and objective. It's not
Okay,
showing
I'm
what
gonna
is going on.
stop
Yeah.
sharing and try to reshare my screen.
Okay, all right, fine.
So Solomon, let me know if you can see my screen on YouTube now. Is it moving?
Not, yeah. This is just what is showing, but it's not moving. Like it's just fixed. It's static. It's not moving. It's not showing. It's now showing. Thank you. Yeah, we're on the same page. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Just
Yeah.
call me out if you need anything.
Okay,
But
all right.
I'm already pressed for time. I need to speed up. So guys, like I was I was talking about the introduction and I was saying that why should you listen to me? Someone's mic is unmuted. Again, guys, mute your mic when you join this call because it can be very distracting when your background noise is interfering. So why should you listen to me? I'm a management consultant. I work with Mastercard West Africa and also a career coach. I also lead HR operations at Tels Impact Consulting. I'm the executive director at the Student Personal Development Hub, which is an outlet for us to help students on their personal development journey. I also serve as a scholar interviewer at NHEF. I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, business success, human capital development, social impact, and national and continental transformation. My objective here today is to equip you to create a compelling CV and cover letter for yourself to get you hired and finally get you fired up for your next opportunity. So the next thing we're going to look into is what is a CV and how does it differ from a resume? Now, a CV is an abbreviation for the Latin term curriculum vitae, which translates to course of life. So when you think about CV, in its sense, it means literally course of life. It's a Latin word that translates to what it means as course of life. What course of life means is what is the documentation of the entire thing you've done within your life. Your CV is a summary of your work history, your academic qualifications, soft or hard skills, and other achievements that you have that are relevant to a job application. The word relevant is underlined because of its importance. Now, a lot of the reason why people's CV are tossed to the trash is because their CVs are not relevant to the job role that they are applying for. So the word relevant here is key. And you're going to see in the coming slides why your CV has to be relevant to a job that you're applying for. And this has to be achievements and work history and academic qualification and skills has to be arranged in a reverse chronological order. What that means is that your most recent experiences, your most recent skills, your most recent academic qualification takes precedence on your CV. It has to come first before the least recent ones that you have. Now, what exactly is the difference? People hear CV, resume. What exactly is the difference between the both of them? So to be very honest, it is just a thing about nomenclature. A US resume and a UK employment CV are essentially the same documents. Now, where we begin to see a bit of difference in the CV is when we speak about academic CVs. An academic CV is where we begin to see certain differences when you talk about CV. But to be very frank, a US resume and a UK employment CV are essentially the same thing. So those words are used interchangeably. Now, when we speak about this difference in academic CV, why is an academic CV a bit different? It's a bit different because of the industry of focus. Because in academia, there's a focus on your credibility as a person. So if you're going to work in academia, if you're going to become a lecturer in a university, you need to have shown credibility in that field that you want to teach people in. And that is why in an academic CV, it's a bit more it's a bit more complicated because there are a lot of things that should go in your academic CV, that so, like certain things that should be on your academic CV that should not be found in your employment CV. But the focus of our conversation today is on an employment CV or a resume, what you can use to apply for a job, right? That is the focus of my class today. We're not going to go into the nitty-gritty of the differences of an academic CV because that is not what we're looking at. People that we have on this call are people who are going to be the next generation of leaders, people who are going to be the next generation of talents in organizations, solving the most challenging problems that are facing the world, right? And that is why we want to get you ready. How do you get yourself ready to land your dream opportunities? Now, let's go into the meat of the conversation. Why do you even need a CV? Why should you pay attention to this class? Your CV is a powerful document that speaks for you in your absence. It is the first impression a prospective employer has about you, and it can make or break your career. Now, this one is highlighted in red because it's controversial. When we say that your CV can make or break your career, is because if you do not have the right CV to land you the best opportunity, if we do not have if you do not have the right CV to land you the best opportunity, then you're most likely going to not get that opportunity that will take you to your next level. So for example, if you need to get into KPMG, for example, and your CV is what is limiting you from getting an interview invitation at KPMG, it means that the next opportunity that they're supposed to get after KPMG would not come. Then we say that not having a great CV can either make or break your career. Another importance of a CV is that it's a multi-purpose document that comes in handy for you as you journey towards a successful career. Because you can use your CV to apply for a fellowship, you can use your CV to apply for a job, you can use your CV to apply for literally any kind of opportunities that that you want to get into. Many times, when you're applying for a job opportunity, they tell you, oh, submit your CV, and that's like part of the things that you need to do. Now, someone has written on my screen, and I don't know who. Okay. I don't know why I'm unmuted. Okay, cool. I don't know who's writing on my screen. Solomon, can you help me? I'm not sure how to get this out of my screen. So please, if you're the one writing on my screen, you'd have to stop doing that so that we can see clearly what is being projected. So I'm going to stop sharing and try to reshare my screen. Okay, cool. That's fine. I think it's already out of my screen. Okay, let's move ahead. And the final point here is that your CV is an opportunity to document. Okay, so we have Musa Abdul also writing on the screen. Please stop doing that. All of these distractions are affecting the overall experience of this class. So Musa, yes, please take out the. So my assumption is that people who are distracting the class are not the ones that are paying attention, because it means that you're not focusing on the conversation that we're having. Because if you're doing that, you would not be doing what you're doing. Your mic will not be unmuted and you'll not be writing on my screen. Okay, so the final point I have here is that an opportunity, your CV is an opportunity for you to document your life accomplishments. It is very critical that you have a place where everything that you've achieved in your journey, in your career, is in one document. I advise people to have a master CV and then a CV that you use to apply for a job. So that master CV is where you're going to document everything that you've done, and then it feeds in from that your master CV. You're able to collect information that would then feed into a CV that you want to use to apply for a job, and you get to see that in the coming slides. So what are some interesting facts about CV? I don't want to bug you by all of these facts that is found online. You can always check the line. So maybe the only thing I will just highlight here is that recruiters spend about 5 to 7 seconds on average going over each CV. So it is very important that your first impression is solid, right? And that is why you need to pay attention to getting a very compelling CV that recruiters would not toss in the bin. So you need to get it right, okay? Now, let's get into the meat of this conversation. What is the anatomy of a winning CV?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Hi, Shifa, I can hear you, yes.
It's Eva.
Yeah, good
I had to
morning.
put in, I need to leave for a bit. I didn't want anybody to disrupt you again. Okay, so for you to ensure that no one annotates on your screen, so I will need you to stop sharing and start sharing your screen again. So
Okay.
you can just turn it off completely.
Okay, I should stop sharing now. Should I stop sharing my screen now?
Yes. Then start
Okay.
sharing again. Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay.
Okay, start sharing again.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay, can you see my screen, Shifa?
We can see it from our end. I don't know about how.
Okay, thanks, Dario. Shifa, if you're speaking, I cannot hear you.
I see your screen. I can see your screen.
Okay.
Can
All
see
right, thanks.
your screen.
You want to respond to that?
Okay. I think I can just go ahead. So we're trying to get into the meat of the conversation. So what are the various parts? So what we're going to look at now is a CV is one comprehensive document, but then there are various sections and segments that comes together to form that one whole document that you see as your CV. The reason why I'm taking this approach is that I want you to understand why all of those elements are important in your CV. And then the onus is now on you to decide what you want to have on your CV. I don't want to just go straight and tell you, oh, this is how your CV should look. We're going to look at the various sections that is typically found in a CV and tell you why it's important and tell you how to write it or how to create it. And then the onus will now be on you to decide what you want to have in your own comprehensive document. Now, what are the various elements of a CV? What are the various parts of a CV? That's what we're going to go into right now. Now, the first part that we're going to look into now is the personal information segment. The personal information segment is a very critical part of your CV. And this is why. This is where you have your name. This is where you have your address. This is where you have your phone number. In fact, everything that a prospective employer would need to contact you is where is what we're going to be looking at in this section of your CV. Now, if this section is missing in your CV, if you apply for a job, your prospective opportunity sponsor or prospective employer would not be able to reach out to you and say, oh, Sharifa, this opportunity is for you, or Solomon, this opportunity is for you. We want to have a conversation with you. And that is why it is a critical element of your CV. It needs to be in your CV. Now, how do you go about this personal information segment of your CV? The personal information segment of your CV includes your name. So in writing your name on your CV, the best practice way to do it is to write your name in bold and capitalized form so that it is evident who owns that CV. It is largely written on the document so that when someone picks it up, they're able to tell that this CV belongs to XYZ person. All right. And how do you even present your name? This is a lot of mistake I've seen a lot of times in CVs. The best practice way to put your name on your CV is to write your first name first as per your national identification number. I'm sure you guys already have your NIN, because if you have a phone number, you should have an NIN, right? What is the first name on your NIN, right? So your first name, the name that is identified as your first name comes first, because that's the name that most people would address you by. The next one is your middle name. If you have a middle or a native name, or depending on how yours is structured, if you have a middle name, that goes next. And then your father's name or your surname or your last name comes last. It's called a last name for a reason. That is a name that comes at the end of, everything else. So your surname, your father's name should come at the end. So your first name, your middle name, and then your last name. People in Africa usually start writing their names with their last name or their surname. That is not best practice. Best practice is start with your first name. If you have a middle name, put it in there, and then you have your last name. The other thing that is found in the personal information segment of your CV is your address. Now, for address, best practice is keeping it simple. Do not give too much information. A lot of people would have to put in the specific address of their house, number 23 Chief Remy Street, XYZ Road, XYZ bus stop. That is very risky. Now, the risk there is you don't know where your CV would land. You don't know who will come across your CV. You don't want to give people too much information, so much so that they track you to your specific location, because it can be very risky. What we advise people to do is include just the city and country. If you want to go a bit further, you can include maybe the area. So for example, if you're in Lagos, you can say Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. That's if you want to go overboard. But my best advice would just be keep it simple, Lagos, Nigeria, because you can be anywhere in Lagos. That would also help you avoid bias of location. So for example, if an employer wants someone who lives in Lekki to get that job, if you know that you live in Victoria Island and you are able to get to that job, you don't want them to disqualify you solely just on your location, right? So it's very important to keep your address very simple. Lagos, Nigeria would always suffice for me. The next thing you find on the personal information segment is your phone number. The best practice is to include your country code. Now, the world is evolving into the tech space. People are applying for jobs as digital marketers, and you can even get a job outside Nigeria You do not want a situation where your prospective employer is looking for the country code of Nigeria to reach out to you. So the best practice is give them all the information they need in terms of your phone number. So your country code in Nigeria, the country code for Nigeria is +234, removing the 0, and then the rest of your number should follow, right? That is how to present your phone number on your CV. And I've given you the reason why. Because if your CV gets to a prospective employer in the US or in Canada or in Germany, and they want to call you on phone for maybe to get some information or to clarify some things on your CV, you don't want them to start stressing about, oh, like, what is the country code for Nigeria? And that can even like demotivate them from reaching out to you eventually. You just want the situation where they pick it up from your CV and then they place a call across. So give them your country code. The other thing that is found in your personal information segment of your CV is your email address. This is how they give you feedback on your application. Oh, thank you so much for applying. This is the status of your application and whatnot. You want to ensure that your email address is a professional email address. We don't want to say things like sexy babe 324. See, Gmail is free. You can create a Gmail account for free. So you need to have a professional or official email address. Best practice is to have an email address that has your name. So if your name is Solomon Adigbami, I would advise that you put solomonadigbami@gmail.com. Now, it is obvious that that might not be an available Gmail name because a lot of Solomon Adigbami in Nigeria. Now, how you can differentiate your specific or your unique email address could be using special characters like hyphen, underscore, or dots, right? To get that unique thing that has your name, because chances are that people are already bearing your name and people already have an email address with that name. So you want to use special characters to create a unique email address for yourself that still has your name. So you could do solomon.adegbami@gmail.com. That can help you get a unique like Gmail address that is professional. If you have a LinkedIn URL, that is important. For those who do not know what LinkedIn URL is, LinkedIn is a professional social media platform that you can use to apply, seek for jobs, create a digital presence for yourself professionally. Victory Edem, you're still writing on my screen. And there's someone called Galaxy S8 that is unmuted. So guys, please, you're distracting the class with all of these tiny descriptions. So I want to believe that you guys are following me. So I was talking about LinkedIn. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, this is a notch for you to go create a LinkedIn profile. That is a digital platform for you to have your professional journey documented. So search on Google what is LinkedIn if you do not know what it is, and create an account for yourself today. If you are looking for a job, if you want to be in the corporate space, you need to have a LinkedIn profile. For those of you who already have a LinkedIn profile, you can find your LinkedIn URL on your LinkedIn profile. All of this information, you can find it on Google, how to identify your LinkedIn URL. The reason why it's important to include your LinkedIn URL in your CV so that it is easier for your prospective employer to want to find you on LinkedIn. They want to see other things that you've done that might have not also be contained in your CV, right? So it's important to include that there. Now, do not include details like your marital status, your age, your pictures, your local government, your gender. All of these things would only create bias for you. I see this a lot in a lot of CVs in 2024. Why are you still including married, single? Who cares if you're married or single? What people are concerned about is, can you do the job or not? So avoid information like this because they will only create biases and get your CV tossed. Because if you're married and you can do the job, the person who is reviewing your CV can have a bias and say, this one is married, I beg, you will not have our time, and then they will toss your CV. You do not want to give them bullets to shoot you even before you have a chance to defend yourself. So take away information that creates biases on your CV, like your picture. Why are you including your picture on your CV? We don't want to see you. If we want to see you, we invite you for an interview and we'll see your face. Why is your picture on your CV? I see this and I worry for the people who put their pictures on their CV. You saw people putting their local government. So what if people we are all human beings and we have our own personal biases. Some people have bias for people who are from a certain area in the country. And if you put that information there, you are giving them a bullet to shoot you even before you have a chance to defend yourself. Because they are not going to focus on your skills. They're not going to focus on your experience. They are only going to make a decision on your application based off their bias around your local government area. So it is very important that we take out information that create biases for people or in our journey to landing a job opportunity. So this is very critical. Now we're done with the personal information segment of your CV. Now I'm going to show you an example of how it is. If you look towards the bottom of my screen, this is how you typically present it on your CV. Your first name, your middle name, and your last name. Your location, Lagos, Nigeria, phone number, including the country code, and your email address. That is a professional email address. This person does not have a LinkedIn URL, so that's fine. The next one is another example from Harvard Career Center. They also said your first name, your last name. See the way they described it here, Bay Area, California. The country code is included in there, phone number, professional email address is included, and then they included the LinkedIn URL. These things are the most important information that you need on your personal information segment of your CV, right? And I hope that this has been very understood. Now let's move on to the next segment of the CV that we need to touch on, which is the education qualification. Now, education qualification is another segment of the CV that is very important, right? Because that's how we want to know if you have the education qualification for the job that you're applying for. Now, how do you go about writing the education qualification segment of your CV? Best practice, include the name of your school, the location of your school, the year you started your degree program, and the year you ended it. What degree did you acquire, and what was your course of study? Now, the ones highlighted in red, which are your class of degree, your CGPA if it's high, are very much optional. Why are they optional? I would say if you have it, flaunt it. But if you do not have it, do not flaunt it. That is very simple. So let's say, for example, you graduated with the first class in your like degree program. It is very important that you flaunt that, because if you have it, you need to show them that you are, a first class graduate. That can, now this can create good bias for you, right? It can create good bias for you, not a bias that will affect you, but a bias that would elevate your chances. Why? Because let's be very honest, in the job market, there's a bias for people who made a first class. In my mind, as a recruiter, if I see someone who made a first class, I would think, oh, this person was diligent enough in university to land a high academic qualification. In my description of that person, or my original impression of that person, is that they would be able to dedicate themselves to a job and do a good work, right? But if you do not have it, it's okay. It's also okay if you do not have the first class, you do not have the 4.98 GPA, it's fine. Do not include it in your CV, right? Let us focus on your degree that you have, because many times they might not even pay attention to if you made the first class or not. There might be a baseline requirement of, okay, 2.1 or 2.2. So that might not be important. But like I said, if you have it, flaunt it. The other thing that you need to pay attention to is there's no need to include your primary and secondary school education if you have a higher education qualification. Now, this is one thing a lot of people have told them, and it has really transformed the game for them. A lot of people, when you pick up their CV, you will see your primary school leaving certificate. What do we need to do with that information? That you finish your primary school is not consequential. It's not important to us. If you're applying to a job as a product marketer, or like a digital marketer or a product designer, what we're looking out for is, okay, do you have basic education? Basic education, if you have a BSc, it means that you passed primary school, you passed junior secondary school, you passed your secondary school education, you passed your WAEC, and you got into the university. That is the only description or explanation for why you would have a BSc. So if you have it, if you have a BSc already, you do not need to include your primary school leaving certificate and your like West African Certificate Examination Council on your CV. It's not important. If what you have, it's only your WAEC results, then only include your secondary school education on your CV. There's no need to include your primary school education again. It is irrelevant information. Remember the word that we mentioned earlier, relevant to the job. What are the relevant information that will help you land this job? That is what we're looking at here. And now, your education qualification can come at the top of your CV or at the end of your CV. This is mostly driven by preference or experience. Now, some experienced professionals like to have their education qualification towards the tail end of their CV because they want you to focus more on their experience. But for very early career stages of your career, very early career people like to start off with their education because that's usually what you have to offer at the very least, right? You want to flaunt your education first before you go into your experience because at that time of your career, you do not have as much work experience, to flaunt, right? So it's based on preference and experience. Now, this is how to this is best, I mean, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, this is the best practice way to present your education qualification on your CV. Now, if you can look on the screen, I have an example of an old CV I used to have. This has changed right now, but it's still almost the same thing. I followed the principle I had shared with you. I included the name of my school. So, for example, Quantic School of Business and Technology is included there, the location. Why are you including the location? Because they might not know where that school is located. So giving them a location sort of that helps them, make a decision as to whether that qualification is okay for them or not. So include the location. The start of the program, so mine is 2022 to 2023, right? Starts the end of the degree. What degree did you acquire? The degree I acquired was an MBA. And what is the course of study? What's the focus of that degree? It's on leadership and management. Now, like I said, if you have it flaunted, so I got a scholarship for that education qualification that I included on my CV, and I flaunted it there. $10,000 worth scholarship. This is going to create a good bias for me. What that bias is that, they gave you money for this program. It means that you must be smart or you must have, impressed them enough. That is going to create a good bias for me in the minds of my prospective employer or opportunity sponsor. So that's what I was speaking about. So if you have it, flaunt it. If you do not, it's also fine. The next segment of your CV is what we call the professional summary. Now, this part of the CV it's like I have on the screen, it is mostly relevant when you have significant work experience, right? This part of your CV is important if you have work experience. The reason is that we're really summarizing what your professional journey has been by virtue of what you've done in the past and how much impact that you've had in terms of the company that you're working for. Please just give me a second. I need to take some water. Okay, I'm back. So this is something I'm really passionate about doing because I like to see people, succeed and land the best opportunities for themselves. And that's why I take my time to explain the various elements. Now, the professional summary also, like I said, is relevant if you have significant work experience. Some people without work experience still include it in their CV, but it is mostly from a futuristic perspective of what they want their career trajectory to look like. When you talk about professional summary, you're basically summarizing your career journey. And for a very early stage of your career, you most likely haven't even figured out what you're going to do long term, right? And that's why I said it's mostly, it's mostly relevant for people who have significant work experience, and you're going to see that like why in the coming second. The other thing I included here is that it should contain a maximum of 3 sentences briefly highlighting what has been done, your value proposition to your prospective employer, and expectation from your prospective employer. That last part is also very optional. The two most important thing is what you have done and what is your value proposition to me, right? That is what makes up a professional summary. So I said for early career people who still want to include a professional summary or some people call it career objective, right? But for me, I don't know. You can still write career objective, right, on your CV. Some people say professional summary. Some people just say profile summary. It just depends on how you want to like word it as per your own preference, right? So how do you go about writing one for yourself? Now, I'm going to speak about this from 2 angles. First, from the angle of someone who has experience. Now, for someone who has experience, they would say an experienced banking operations and relationship manager with 10+ years experience managing medium and large-scale core banking operations and relationships with customers and HNI clients. HNI means high net worth individual, for those who do not know. Now, this person has clearly stated what they have done. They've told you that they have experience in banking operations and relationship management. They've told you how many years of experience they have with it and what specific things they've done. So they say here that they've managed medium and large scale core banking operations and relationship with customers and HNI clients. They've told you what they've done. Now, the next thing is their value proposition to their prospective employer. So this person then says, I'm committed to excellence, customer satisfaction, process optimization, and operational transformation to deliver results for customers and clients. This is their value proposition to their prospective employer. I hope this makes sense. This second person says, the customer service representative with 5 years of experience solving customer issues and increasing overall customer loyalty. Now, they've told you what they've done. They told you that they have 5 years experience in solving customer issues and increasing overall customer loyalty. Now, the next thing is, what is their value proposition? They are telling their prospective employer that they have familiarity with support software to monitor the severity and propagation of customer issues. That is their value proposition. This is say I'm familiar with these things. I know how to do these things to help you monitor the severity and propagation of your customer issues. They're also saying that they've cooperated with other staff members, saying that they are a team player to make sure that the whole customer service lifecycle was addressed regularly. This is their value proposition to their prospective employer. Now, many people who want to have this on their CV and do not already have experience can say this in a futuristic manner. So let's say that you're very early in your career and say maybe you want to do something in digital marketing. You can say it in a way that communicates your future intent. You can say, oh, an enthusiastic digital marketing professional with expertise in XYZ. Because I mean, if you're saying that you are a digital marketing expert, at least you should know the basics of digital marketing. So you could say with expertise in like in SEO management, like digital strategy creation and things like that, to help organizations achieve their their overall digital marketing objectives. That is a way to also put it in a futuristic perspective. Now, you've said that you're an enthusiastic professional and you've said some of the skills that you have, which is your value proposition. And then you're telling them that you can help them achieve XYZ. So that's also a way to put it from a futuristic perspective. You can also say, I'm looking to join an organization that will challenge me to, maybe design a comprehensive digital strategy for their business. That could also be a futuristic way to put your experience in the professional summary. I hope this makes sense and we now understand how to go about writing our education qualification and professional summary on our CV. The next element of the CV is where the bone of contention is, which is what? Your professional or work experience. This is where you're going to highlight very critically what you have done. This is where your prospective employer will look to and say, what experience does this XYZ person has that would make us give them this job? Now, here is my 2 cents around this part of your CV. I said here that it is the core of your CV. It is the section where you communicate to your prospective employer the skills and experiences that will translate to value for their organization. Now, I say this to say that you as a person see yourself as a value infrastructure. What can someone get from you? What skill do you have that you can use to add value to people? You are a value infrastructure. Now, when you think about yourself as a value infrastructure, it helps in your personal development journey. It also helps you communicate your impact and your value to people. So from that perspective, look at yourself. In this section of your CV, how can you communicate to your prospective employer that you are a person of value and that you can add value to their organization? The next thing I want to point out is that you need to ensure that the experiences that you're including in this part of your CV are relevant to the job that you are applying for. If you're applying to become an engineer or you're applying to become an accountant, your experience as a front desk officer might not be so relevant in this case, but your experience as a cashier is very important in this case. I don't know if that makes sense. So you need to consider what are the relevant experiences that I have that will position me as a person of value for this role I'm applying for. You cannot be applying for the role of an accountant and the only experience on your CV is customer service, is front desk officer. If I am a recruiter, I will toss your CV to the trash because what you're applying for is the role of an accountant. I need to see that you've done something in the line of the role that you're applying for. That is the only way that your CV can be considered for an interview invitation at the very least. So whatever experiences you're creating in your work experience segment of your CV, think about the relevance of it. Put yourself in the shoe of the person reviewing your CV. If I am hiring for the role of an accountant and I'm seeing the things I'm putting on this CV, will I hire myself? That is the question I want you to always ask yourself when you're creating things around your work experience, on your CV. So it has to be relevant to the job you're applying for. I said here, your teaching experience may be unnecessary if you're applying for an engineering role, except maybe what you taught is maybe like mathematics, for example, or maybe say physics, and you're applying for the role of maybe an engineering, like a mechanical engineer, for example. That experience might be relevant because it means that you're able to transfer knowledge to other people in the line that you're involved in. But if your teaching experience was in English language, it's not relevant to the job that you're applying for. I hope this makes sense. The next thing I want to point out here is that you need to prioritize achievements, milestones, and value-focused activities that you have been engaged with. That is the only way to communicate your value to your prospective employer. Like I say, consider yourself a value infrastructure. As a person that you are, see yourself as a value infrastructure. What value are you expediting? What value are you adding? What value are you giving? Think of yourself like that and see your perception about yourself change significantly. Now, when you're writing your work experience in your CV, you need to prioritize what achievements have you made? What milestones did you attain? What value-focused activities were you involved with? And in doing that, you have to do it in a fact-based manner, in a way that you quantify them using figures, percentages, and ratios where necessary. We're going to see this in practice when we review this person's professional experience. The final thing I want to say here is when describing your experiences in this segment of your CV, only use action verbs to describe your achievements and accomplishments. When we talk about action verbs, we're talking about verbs that communicate your ownership. There are action verbs and there are what? Passive verbs. So passive verbs is when you're trying to be humble. We do that a lot in Africa. Oh, someone tells you, oh, you're really good at this. Ah, it's not me. Oh, I'm just trying. It was actually you who did that work. But in Africa, I don't know. I think it's a cultural thing. We tend to always want to be humble so you don't come off proud. But my dear, if you do not sing your praises, no one is going to do it for you. This is one thing I tell people a lot. Your CV is a chance to sing your praise, is to blow your trumpet. So if you did something, say you did it in using action verbs that communicate your ownership of that expression. If you look at the bottom side of my screen, the bottom left, you see some examples of action words that you can use to describe certain semantic areas like leadership, communication, research, technical, teaching, quantitative, and creative ways. So these are semantic areas, and you can see examples of action verbs that you can use to describe your experiences. Words for example, now to describe your leadership capability, you can use words like accomplished, contracted, organized, oversaw. You were the one that did it. You built, you attained, you assigned, you directed, you earned, you evaluated. These are action verbs to describe your experiences. Now, let's take a look at some examples of how all of these things comes together. Now, if you take a look at the top right side of the screen, we're going to be reviewing this person's professional experience. Now, this person is applying for the role of an account manager at Google. Case in point, Google. And this is the person's CV. Now, in the professional experience segment, they've included what? Now, I would advise best practice is to include the name of the company that you worked for, the location of that company, and the duration of your engagement with them, including the role that you performed within that organization. So, if you want to describe your work experience in an organization, you need to include the name of the organization, the location of that organization. If you worked remotely, still include where the business is originally incorporated in. So if you're working for a business that is incorporated in the US, include their location. The next thing to include is what was your role in that organization? Include it in your description of your work experience. And then finally, what is the duration of your engagement? So if you're still in that organization, you can put the date you started and you can put a hyphen and say to present or till date, which is indicative of the fact that you are still within that organization. Now, that is the best practice way to describe your experience on your CV. The name of the company, the location, your role, and the duration of your engagement. Now, how do you explain or depict what you've done within that organization that you are highlighting? This person has said that they built relationships with 50 plus clients to understand their needs, resulting in 1 million in annual revenue. Tell me, if you were the person reviewing this person's CV, wouldn't you want to have a conversation with this person? I don't know about you, but I would, because what he has told me that, see, I've built relationships with 50 plus clients. Let's even say that I am, as the recruiter for Google who wants to hire this person, we want somebody who has had at least this person going to be having at least 100 plus client interaction, right? And this person has already told me from their CV that they've done 50 plus. It is a nudge for me as a recruiter to say, okay, this person has a bit of an experience in this role. I mean, I know I'm looking for 100 plus, but this person has done 50. Let's give him a chance. Let's even hear what he has to say. This person did not just tell me that they've interacted with 50 plus clients. They've also told me they've quantified the value of their impact. They've told me that they've built relationships with 50 plus clients that has resulted to $1 million in annual revenue. Let's even say that the account manager in Google has only done 800,000 US dollars. And this person is already communicating their value and telling me, see, I've done $1 million in annual revenue. What that communicates to me as a recruiter is that this person, if given the right environment, they can do 2 times, 3 times what they've done in their former organization. I hope this is beginning to make sense for you. So don't just go on your CV and write a description of your role. I'm responsible for managing client relationship in my organization. That does not communicate impact. It doesn't communicate value. Think of yourself as a value infrastructure. What value have you added? Remember that we said that when you're communicating your value, you need to quantify them using facts, figures, percentages, ratios to show the credibility of what you're claiming to have done. What numbers does for you? Numbers, quantification gives you credibility. The next line, this person said, exceeded annual revenue targets by an average of 20% during tenure. Thoroughly prepared for over 60 client meetings, resulting to a close rate of 5% above average. You need to be creative in describing what you've done in your organization. Don't just write out a list of responsibilities. Those responsibilities, think about them. What did you achieve? What did you accomplish? Can you quantify that accomplishment? Can you quantify that achievement? I hope this is making sense to everyone in this room. That is the best practice way to describe your experience on your CV. It is the best way to communicate your impact. I swear to you, if you do this creatively and effectively, your CVs will get more views. Your CVs will get more acceptance. Your CVs will probably land you more interviews because what you are communicating your value to your prospective employer. I want to pause for a second and take feedback. I hope we have been following the class so far. I need to know that you guys have been hearing me and I've not been speaking to myself.
Yes, I will be hearing you.
We're hearing you, sir.
Okay.
We are
All
with
right.
you,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Yeah, thank you
Sir,
very
we
much
are
for
with you.
confirming. Awesome. So because of time, I'm going to go to the next segment of your CV. Yes, thank you very much. So I'm going to go to the next segment of your CV where we'll look at some other areas of your CV that you can include. Now, there's a segment I like to describe as certifications, awards, accomplishments. In this segment of your CV, you need to showcase a list of relevant certifications that you have attained over the course of your career. Personal development is a fundamental career strategy, if you ask me, because as you go on in your career, you need to constantly reinvent yourself. You need to constantly improve your skill set. You need to refresh your knowledge. And the best way to do this is through taking courses, going for certifications to improve your knowledge in the area that you want to build a career in. And also, certification gives you a bit of credibility as you go on your career journey. Someone's mic is unmuted. Please mute your mics. So, in describing or in including this segment on your CV, what it does for you is that it communicates to your prospective employer that you are someone who is value driven. You're taking courses, you're taking certifications, you're winning awards, you are accomplishing things. You are somebody that everybody wants to have in their organization. That is what this segment of your CV communicates to a recruiter. How do you go about it? Here, showcase a list of relevant certifications you have attained over the course of your career. For example, the YTP certification at the end of this program should go on your CV. Certificate of completion, YTP Net Factory Company, 2024. If I go to your CV, I'll say, this person went through a training. Are you serious? They have a growth mindset. They are passionate about improving themselves to become a better version. That overall improves your appeal. It improves your candidate appeal to a prospective employer. Take courses relating to your field of study to boost your CV appeal. You can leverage platforms like Udacity, Coursera, Udemy to take courses in line with your interest. If you are planning to go into digital marketing, there are a lot of free digital marketing courses online that you can take. It can overall improve the appeal of your CV, trust me. The next thing is you can also include a list of relevant awards, accomplishments, or recognitions that you have received over the course of your career. So this can also improve your overall CV appeal. So let's say you won an award in your previous organization as the most creative employee. You want to put that on your CV. Or you went for a speaking engagement and they gave you an award for that engagement. All of these things work together to improve your overall talent appeal. It works together to improve your overall CV appeal to a prospective employer. So please go all out when it comes to certification. An example of how I've communicated this on my previous CV was I included a list of awards, scholarships I've won, certifications I've taken, fellowships I've attended, certificate I've won, just to show that, see, I'm not a small person. I'm doing things in my own small space. This is why you need me in your organization. I hope this makes sense. Now, another thing to include in your CV is the skill and interest segment of your of the CV. Now, this is I keep saying you need to know all the various elements so that you will know which one you want to pick and choose and include in your own CV. Now, the skill and interest segment of your CV is where you're highlighting. In fact, these ones we have discussed so far are very critical. If they are missing in your CV is not complete. If you're missing work experience, if you're missing personal information, if you're missing education, if you're missing like professional, okay, I would say professional summary is optional, but then the rest of them I've mentioned so far are critical to your CV. So the skill and interest segment is where you're going to list relevant skills you have built over time. This could be technical skills or hard skills, like coding, UI, UX. You see that I underline MS Office Suite. Now, these days, people don't see MS Office Suite as a technical skill anymore because we're in a digital world and everybody should be able to use MS Office Suite. You should be able to use PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, or you should be able to navigate the nuances of the Google Suite in all of its entirety. You should be able to use Google Workspaces. You should be able to use Google Sheets, Google Doc, Google Calendar. You should be able to know how to use all these things because what we are in the digital era. So I wouldn't consider that a technical skill or a hard skill anymore. What I would consider a technical skill would be your digital marketing expertise, your coding skills, your UI UX design skills, your Adobe Illustrator skills. These are core skills that can effectually help you do a job. You can also include soft skills in this segment. Soft skills like teamwork, leadership, communication can also be included in the skill or interest segment of your CV. Now, you can also include language in this segment. Why? Because if you can speak more than one international language, maybe you can speak Spanish, Espanol, or you can speak French. These are very attractive languages that you have learned that can overall boost your appeal as a talent. There are some jobs you will see, they tell you, oh, an ability to speak like multiple international language is an added advantage. Let's say you're applying for the role of a customer service professional or like customer service representative, and you can speak Spanish, you can speak and you can speak French. You want to flaunt that on your CV. If you have it, flaunt it. So if you can speak more than one international language beyond English language, it is okay to have a segment on your CV where you include language proficiency, and then you include Spanish and French and English, right? It is critical to improve your CV appeal. And then the interest part is where you can include other interests you may have. You know, there's a way you can include an interest in your CV that it also communicates you as a person of value. So, for example, you can include things like technology as your interest. You have interest in technology. So let's say that you're applying for the role of a digital marketer. So you can say that you have interest in graphic design, you have interest in volunteering, you have interest in, like community development. All of these interests can overall improve your appeal depending on the organization that you're applying to. I hope this makes sense and you can begin to see in essence how this looks. Now, you can either put this skill segment towards the tail end of your CV by highlighting it in bullet points in the manner that I've shown on the screen. So you can just say, you're proficient in Microsoft Office Suite, put it in brackets, project management. You can put it in bullet point in this format, but I would advise that you put it in the format that you see beneath, which is the one that has your skills outlined very clearly and succinctly, very short and simple. So you see the way I put in there skills, you see, and you can see core banking operations, process improvement and optimization skills. All of those things are included there in bullet points, right? Then you can also include your interests like personal development, consulting, design thinking, all of those things that can also improve your CV appeal to a prospective employer. This is how to go about the certification, awards, accomplishment segment, and the skill and interest segment of your CV. There's also the leadership segment, which can include some leadership experiences that you've had. Let's say that in your school, you're a leader in so many ways, you're an SUG president. You want to communicate your leadership experience because what that communicates to your prospective employer that you're someone who can take ownership, you're someone who can take charge. Include relevant leadership experiences that you have. Now, this segment of your CV is optional. Not everybody got a chance to lead teams or build things or have passion project that they are leading, right? So it's optional to include this section on your CV, okay? But if you have it, include it, flaunt it is also good. It can improve, it can overall improve the quality of your CV. It can improve the appeal of your CV. So if you have relevant leadership experiences, include it. You can, same rules apply in work experience when describing your leadership experience because you need to know what you've actually led. So you heard, oh, like your SUG president, what did you achieve as a leader? We want to see it there. Same rules applies as in work experience in terms of highlighting and quantifying your achievements. So even if you're talking about your leadership, even if you're speaking about your leadership experience, you need to also quantify the impact of your leadership experience. Volunteering is also another segment of your CV, which is also optional, but it can improve the overall appeal of your CV. Now, include relevant volunteering experiences to communicate to your employer that you are someone who can commit to something beyond financial gain. See, trust me, a lot of employers have CSR programs in their organizations that they do because people understand the value of giving back to the society. So if you're an ardent volunteer, you're someone who volunteers your time to causes and to various things that you do, it can improve the appeal of your application because it communicates to your employer that, this is somebody who can commit to a cause beyond their own financial gain. This is someone who can commit to a cause beyond financial gain. Why is this section important? It speaks to your personal values and it can stand you out in an interview because you have stories to tell. Now, a lot of people volunteer for causes like Slum to School, like out of school children. All of these things can form stories that you can tell in an interview that would overall improve your talent appeal because you're competing against multiple applications. So anything that makes you stand out is very important to include on your CV. So if you know that you volunteer for various causes, you want to include that in your CV to overall boost your CV appeal and boost your talent appeal. So you can go into details as a work experience for explaining your volunteering experience, or you can keep it simple like the example that you have on the screen. So you can just highlight your volunteer engagement. I have a lot of volunteer engagement that I do. I volunteer as a marketing and communications and HR lead at Tels Impact Consulting. I volunteer as the executive assistant to the convener of the African Core. I volunteer as a content developer for financial literacy for kids. All of these things overall improves my appeal. So if I see this on your CV, I would say, you're doing things even beyond your work. That means you're somebody that, is you're someone of value. Remember, you are a value infrastructure. I keep saying this and I keep reiterating it. Consider yourself a value infrastructure. Beyond even the fact that volunteering communicates your value as someone who can commit to a cause beyond financial gain, volunteering can also help improve your skills. I hope you know. People volunteer to build experience. People volunteer to improve their skills. Some people volunteer. I know a friend of mine, he dreaded public speaking so much, it would give him anxiety. He would sweat his hands, he would sweat he he wanted to improve that weakness that he had. The way he went about it was by volunteering because nobody is paying you. Volunteering can be a bit more gracious because it's not a work engagement. So it's an avenue for you to build certain skills that you do not have. Let's say that you want to go into project management and you don't have experience. You can volunteer with an NGO as a project manager. And then you're doing the work, you're building the experience, you're learning different things that you can take with you to an actual job that they will now pay you for the work that you're doing. I hope this makes sense. So very quickly, I'm going to rush through this because we're already out of time. What are the various tips to creating a winning CV? So on the left side of my screen are tips from Harvard that you can see. So you can see Top 5 resume mistakes include spelling and grammar errors, missing emails and phone information, using passive language instead of action words, not organizing your CV properly, you know, and your CV not being concise and easy to skim, or your CV being too long. Best practice is to keep your CV at 1 page, at most 1.5 pages max, right? What are the do's of your CV? What are the things that you should continue to do? Be consistent in your CV formatting and content. Make it easy to read and follow. Balancing your white spaces. Use consistent spacing, underlining, italics, and bold. Use capitalization for emphasis. List headings such as experience in order of importance. So you can put education, work experience, or you can put work experience, education, depending on which is most important to you. Within heading, list information in reverse chronological. And all of this advice is from Harvard Career Center. So please pay attention. Be sure that your formatting is translated properly. And if possible, convert your CV to PDF. I advise people always keep your CV in PDF file format, because if you keep it in Word, it can change the format of your CV depending on the device upon which that CV was opened. So a CV keeps your CV consistent across board, across devices. So best practice is keep your CV in PDF format. What are the don'ts? Things you should not even do at all in your CV. Don't use personal pronouns such as I. Do not abbreviate on your CV. Do not use a narrative style. Someone's mic is on and it's distracting the crowd. We have constant occurring. Your mic was turned on now. Please, guys, let's pay attention. Do not use a narrative style. Don't write your CV like you're telling a story. Be very formal and professional. Do not use number or letter categories. Instead, use bullet points. You see the way we use bullet points? Don't go and put number 1, this, number 2, this. Do not put numbers on your CV. Use bullet points instead. Do not use slangs or colloquialisms on your CV. Like we said before, don't include picture, age, or sex. Do not include references on your CV. Why? Because if an employer wants to get reference from you, they will do a background check on their own. Or if it comes to it, they would ask you to provide a list of references. I see people still including references on their CV. That is not relevant. It's only relevant in an academic CV, right? But in an employment or a career or a job CV, your references are irrelevant. Some people will even go as far as saying references are available upon request. Well, I don't have a problem with that, but I mean, I think it's irrelevant. If an employer needs to get a reference from you, they would write to you. But most times, they do a background check on their own. They don't need to ask you for any reference. Your resume language should be specific rather than general. It should be active rather than passive, written to express, not. I mean, I have an argument with that particular line. I would say that your CV is written to express and to also impress, because you need to make a very good first impression when writing your CV. Gloria Paul, your mic is unmuted. Articulate rather than flowery, fact-based, quantify and qualify, written for people who can scan quickly. Now, these are all of the tips that came from Harvard. Now, here is my own specific tips for you. Excellence is often underrated when building a CV. Your CV has to be excellent, because it's the only document that will speak for you in your absence. You're not going to be there to explain to the recruiter, oh no, this is not what I mean. No, oh no, this is not how I meant it. Oh no, this one. Your CV will be there and there alone. So it has to be excellent. Let your CV be an extension of you. Let it fight your battles for you. So it has to be excellent. Do not underrate the importance of excellence in writing a compelling CV. Excellence is key to a compelling CV. Do not lie on your CV, but you can get creative. Now, this is very important, because when you put things that you did not do on your CV, I know we said quantify, put facts. You need to be able to defend everything that you include on your CV. So don't lie on your CV, because you don't want a situation where you are invited for an interview and they're asking you something about what you wrote on your CV, and you're saying, it's not a good look for you. However, you can get creative. There's a creative way to write something small and it looks big. And that is why I've included these memes on my screen. So someone was asking on Twitter which day, how do I write on my CV that I changed a light bulb? And someone said, single-handedly managed the successful upgrade and deployment of new environmental illumination system with zero cost overruns and zero safety incidents. Are you seeing how someone is creatively describing the fact that they only changed the light bulb with English? So you can get creative in explaining your experiences, but do not lie on your CV. Do not underestimate any experience that you have. However, that experience has to be relevant to the job that you're applying for. Get a second and even a third eye review. The worst thing you can do to yourself is then finding errors on your CV. Hey, I cannot overemphasize the importance of an error-free CV for the sake of your next big opportunity. Give your CV to somebody, give it to multiple people to review and tell them, please check for errors on that CV. Another way to catch errors on your CV is to read your CV out loud. So if you take your CV, you read it out loud, read your name, XYZ person, education. Because it's when you're reading it out loud that you can easily catch an error or a grammatical blunder. Because if you read it in your mind, you might miss it. But if you read it out loud, most times you get to catch those errors that you make on your CV. Another tip is review your CV regularly. As you begin to gain new experiences, gain new certifications, take out the old ones so that your CV will not continue to get long and long and long and long. I used to advise people, have a master CV where you can document everything. From that master CV, you can now create a new CV that you can use to apply for specific job opportunities that are relevant. Okay? Finally, do not include references on your CV. I already explained why you do not need to include references on your CV. So let's move on to reviewing some CVs together. Now, this is the part I like. I would want volunteers. For a second, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that the two people that I pointed out at the start of the class will share their CV and then we can review it together based on the knowledge that we have gained. Okay? But let's have few people tell us why this is described as an epic failure for a CV. Why is this described as a bad CV example? Dario, I see your hand up, but I'm not going to take you. I'm going to take someone else because you're also going to share your screen in a few seconds with us. So do we have any volunteers who are going to review this CV and tell us why these CVs are described as bad and epic failures? Volunteers, please. Let's have people volunteer. Okay, so let's have Tahir Sofiat. Tell us maybe 2-3 things that you've seen on the CV that is wrong or why it is described as a bad CV. So please unmute your mic and let's hear from you.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So the first thing I'm noticing on the CV is the address. The address is too specific,
Mm-hmm.
so the person can easily trace.
Absolutely.
Then what we have learned again, the email.
Mm-hmm.
Email as in the person.
So Tahir Sophia, we can't hear you anymore. There's noise in your background.
Is the email.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not specific enough. And the person is not using his real name. I think the person is like maybe a plain name, sir. Then the person's name is not included in the first CV.
Mm-hmm.
The person just moves straight to the address without stating his first, middle, and last name.
Mm-hmm.
Then the person's education, it is not starting from the most recent education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then the reference.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tahir Sophia, for your observation. Let's have Christina Onyinyechi go next. Christina, you're up. Sorry, Christian, sorry. Onyinyechi, sorry.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I think what I noticed is in the first one, according to what you said, there shouldn't be references starting from the down. Another thing I noticed is from what you said something about there is no need for your high school, primary school, whatever, because we know before you got your B Tech or B Science, you
Mm-hmm.
you press through all those things. So there is no
Very
need for
good.
English 1, mathematics C, biology B.
Very
And
good.
I think you talked about excellency when writing it, that it will look so that it's going to stand out, that because you don't really need to talk about some things. So I think when I
Mm-hmm.
noticed person said personal profile, is really looking like as if you're talking, it's not kind of formal. I think that is what I
Mm-hmm.
noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look in order. It's not really in order. It's kind of scattered and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
email too. I remember you told us we should use our full name, and even when we want to add special characters, we should use, those special characters to differentiate
Mm-hmm.
ours from some persons.
Yeah.
And I just have a lot, but let me just stop.
Yeah, thank you so much, Onichi. That was very spot on. Well done. Let's hear from Deborah Fatokumbo. Deborah, you're up.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Morning.
Let me first say thank you so much for the class. I'll just try to pick up few things. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why it's saying curriculum vitae. They already know what it is. Like, I
Absolutely.
don't know why they are having curriculum vitae. So
Mm-hmm.
the name first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why this person, the first one put like their grade and English and all, then
Mm-hmm.
the hobbies, the
Mm-hmm.
reference, and then the email. Then I think
Mm-hmm.
one thing that is particular to three of them, I would say, is not organized at all.
Mm-hmm.
They are not helping the employers to, have a free read of
Yeah.
their
Thank you
this thing.
so much, Deborah. There's something I'm actually looking for someone to point out as well. So I'll just like give Peace an opportunity to speak. But thank you so much, Deborah, for your contribution. So let's have Peace Okpa. Yeah, Peace, please
Good
go ahead.
morning. Good
Good
morning. Can you
morning.
hear me? Yes.
Yes, I
So
can hear you.
thank you so much for the class. It was really impactful. So the first thing I noticed, like the last person that spoke said, is that the three CVs are not organized at all. The first CV, the name of the person is not there, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the education. When you're talking about your education, the person talked about their I think, yeah, their primary school and secondary school education too, and then
Mm-hmm.
their work experience. When the person stated his work experience, the person did not put like the job functions, because the person just
Mm-hmm.
listed what he did. Yes, he
Very
didn't list
good.
job
Very
functions.
good. Mm-hmm.
And then the reference. Sometimes reference is not always asked in CVs. You
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily need to put your reference. So when it comes
Absolutely.
to the second CV, I don't know if it's compulsory to put your middle name, but the person put the first and second name, which is also okay. And then the person
Mm-hmm.
did not put the country code. The person just put their mobile number.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was a
Yes.
good catch. Well
And
done.
then the person put their date of birth, their date of birth, which is not necessarily necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Good
and then
catch.
also, thank you so much. And also, in the education, the person also put their primary school and secondary school here too. And then the person puts employment, but also did not put in details what his job function was exactly. And then
Mm.
I don't know, but when in my own CV, when I was also doing my CV, I did technical skills and then also soft skills. The way the person put the skills, it's not really organized, and the person is not
Mm-hmm.
dwelling on the skills so much. And
Good
then
catch. Good
also,
catch.
thank
Mm-hmm.
you so much. And also, the person that have hobbies in my spare time, I enjoy socializing with my friends. I don't if there's grammatical errors, and if you are submitting professional CVs, you should take note of the grammar you're using in your CV, because you don't know who is going to be able to see it. And then also
Very
for the
good.
reference, the person added reference. And now for the third one, the
Oh, thank you, Peace. Thank you so much
so
for your time. Very well done. Good catch. So the two things that I wanted, like someone to mention, you had already mentioned, which was the thing around bias. All of them had information that was going to create bias for them, including their date of birth, some of them, and then you cut the phone number, not including the country code. That was a very good catch. The email address was not professional enough. Um, so, I mean, you guys have been a fantastic audience. Thank you so much for paying attention and listening throughout the class. So I'm just going to take a pause now and call on our volunteers, people who are supposed to share their CV for the class to review. So we're going to do that in the next 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to take the 2 CVs and we're going to review them together. So I think I should stop sharing my screen now. I think our volunteers are, who are the volunteers that I mentioned? Who are the people that were supposed to review their CVs together? Yes, Odunayo, please go ahead and share your screen. You can, you can share your screen, and then I will just, call people to like review your CV based on what we've learned, and then see how you can improve it.
All right, sir. I don't know if I can speak. Okay, I'm still unable to share my screen. It's saying host. Yeah.
So let me. I don't know how to enable. Solomon, can you help me like enable people to share their screen? Please enable Dario to share her screen. Solomon on the call.
Hi, please. I'm on the call.
Hi. Please, like, can you like enable screen share for Dario or Dunayo? And the second person, who's the second person that we accepted to share his screen? I think it was Promise Oluwasemilore Emmanuel.
Whose hands are up, right?
So we have Promise and we have that. So please, if you're not going to share your screen, please bring down your hands. Peace, Edise, and any Fome Christopher. Please bring down your hands so that they could just see Dario and Promise. So we're like enabling screen share for Dario Odunayo and Promise Oluwaseun. Yeah. So let's have them share their screen. Peace, you can bring down your hand. Thank you so much for your contribution. Odunayo is sharing her screen now. All right. Thank you so much, Solomon. So I'm going to just be calling people randomly to help us review Odunayo's CV. So let's have, so just give me a second. I'm trying to get everyone's name sharing. Okay, so let's have Abayomi Martins. Please unmute your mic.
Hello. Yeah, I'm on the call.
Abayomi Martins, can you hear me?
Please, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen, Odunayo. We can see your screen.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have? Okay, let me call Peace. Peace. Like Peace. Like, can you,
Okay.
I want you to say some things on Odunayo's CV. So let's go.
Okay. Starting with the name, she started with her name properly. Starting with her first name first before she's included her surname. Then yes, the address is excellent because she did not give too much information. Lagos, Nigeria, which is okay. If she wanted, she could have also included. Like,
I hope you not change all these things. I hope you not change all these things now that I've done this correction. I hope you don't change
To be
anything.
honest, I actually did because it was my last name that was my first name. But I think that was the only thing I was able to change.
Okay, good. Okay, let's go ahead, please. Please go ahead.
Okay, then the next thing, her number has the country code. Then the email too is also professional. Yeah,
Very
it does
good.
not have like the other example you gave, that cool guy example. And also keeping dropping her LinkedIn profile link too is also good. Then but when you were talking about the CV outline, I don't think she was supposed to start with a professional summary. She was supposed to start with education first.
Well,
Am I right?
so like I said, it's optional. So, like,
okay.
you know how I keep saying
Okay.
it depends on what you want to
Yeah.
have in your CV. So everyone can decide to have like can decide what comes first or what goes last. It just really depends on your experience and your preference.
Okay. So because my own CV too, I started with my professional summary first.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
that's
then
okay.
sorry.
That's also, in fact, that's usually how people start. It's just that for very early stage, like people, they typically just start with their education. So it really just depends on your preference and your experience.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, please can you scroll up? Sorry. Hello, I don't hear you. Please can okay, thank you.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
cool.
I'm here. Is it okay?
Yes,
No,
yes, yes. That's okay.
can you still move a little? Can you still move up?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
thank
go.
you. The next
Please,
thing
please
she
is the
started.
reviewer here. I'm sorry for interfering.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the next thing is sorry, please can you keep on scrolling. Let's just start from the key skills.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I can reach out. Okay.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly here. Thank you. The next thing she did was her key skills, which is fantastic. But then I think it would have been better to divide them into technical and soft skills. I don't know if that's some standards I've been seeing, but this is also good. Then the next thing, her experience is okay. She stated the company, the work she did, the company she did, the time, and also the jobs her job function in the company, which is really good. Sorry, please can you continue scrolling up? Yeah, you can still scroll up. Thank you.
I have a bit of pushback on that. I don't think she did a great
Okay.
job describing
Okay.
what she did within that role. You know
Yeah.
how we
Okay.
spoke
Yes.
about quantifying your achievement.
Passes. Yes. Yes.
So
Quantifying. Giving a proper value in what she has been able to do.
Mhm.
Probably like she increased, okay, in a case where I'm not going to use her particular example of her job function, but I'm just going to use like in a case where she probably like is a consultant or is working as a social media manager. This is just like an example. She's supposed to like you said, quantify it. Oh, she increased brand sales through social media managing by this percent, engagement on the social media platforms by this percent, that kind of thing. But there's no she did not quantify um her I don't know, let me just stop at that. Sorry.
Achievements. Yeah.
Yes, our achievement, thank you so much. Is that better?
Yes. 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 That's better.
Thank you. Sorry, yeah, you can keep on scrolling up. Yeah, and also I also took note of the fact that she was keeping the dates from this date to this date. Yeah, that's also you also mentioned that when you were explaining. Yeah. Yeah, you can
Mhm.
scroll up, thank you.
Who can already notice one very big thing that I have a problem with already? Don't tell your CV is too long. Oh my
Yes,
God. How
it's too
many
long.
pages of this?
Sorry, what's
I
the
think
next
it's
thing
already
after
like 5 pages.
sorry, what's the next thing after your job? Okay, education. Yeah, can you scroll up to education? Okay, your education, you only put your BSc. Okay, your BSc in plants biology. So I want to ask a question from here. So if you just have your BSc, is it still can you put your probably secondary school, like for example, if you went to a secondary school like that is prestige, like there was a time I was trying to apply for a job somewhere, but then I realized that the owner of the company or like the CEO had gone to the secondary school I attended. So because
Mm.
of that, I added the secondary school I went to
That is,
because like I felt
so you
like it
see,
was going to be an added advantage.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So that's what I wanted to point out now. So because of your secondary school on your CV is going to give you an added advantage. That is the reason why you're including it. But based on,
Okay.
general practice, right? It is not expected
Yeah.
that you have your CV, like your secondary school, because I mean, you need to have, for you to have gotten a BSc in plant biology, you should have passed your
You
YA
would have passed
and you should have,
through secondary school.
you get,
Okay.
so except it's going to give you an advantage, and that's when it makes sense to bring in your secondary school education to your CV.
Okay. Okay. So it's just okay to just put your BSc. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next thing, certifications and training. Yeah, I feel like okay, the certification and trainings too are good, but I think that she should have put like the months. I don't know if that matters in it. Because she just put the year. I don't know if she should have added the month
It's totally
or it is
left at your
okay.
discretion. Okay, thank
Okay.
you so much, Peace, for that wonderful attempt at reviewing. Very good job. I think for me, Odunayo, number one thing that comes to mind is that your CV is too long. your CV is too long. I think it's again around formatting. You need to improve the formatting of your CV. So let's scroll up a bit. So for example, there are a lot of spaces here and there. It's already going. If I am a recruiter, I'm not going to go over 4 pages of CV. It's not me. I will not do it. I would not do it. So first things first, work on the formatting of your CV. You need to show your name, like there's a way to position it that. So that's why everyone should really know how to make use of, the Word document suite, know how to reduce spacing, know how to present things in a way that, saves you space. So for example, there's just a lot of space in your CV. Now, for your professional summary, I remember saying that what should be there is what you've done and what is your value proposition. So you said a result-driven certified Scrum Master and project manager with 2 years of experience leading cross-functional teams and delivering projects on time within budget and exceeding stakeholder expectation. That is solid. I feel like you don't want it to be too long. The fact that you already said what you do is great. Then proven track record of driving innovation, team performance, skill in agile technologies, whatnot. Stakeholder engagement is also, I think it's also like an overstretch. You're passionate about fostering collaborative environment and mentoring teams to achieve. I think this last part is your value proposition. The sentence above was still talking about what you've done. So focus on making this at the most 3 sentences max, right? Just highlight what you do, what you've done, your experience, and then what is your value proposition? And your value proposition, from what I can see, is that you're passionate about fostering collaborative environment and mentoring teams to achieve excellence, and you're committed to delivering high quality solutions that drive business growth and customer satisfaction. This is your value proposition. So you can use an AI tool to structure this in a more succinct manner that communicates the value, very punchy way to communicate your value. In terms of skills, I would advise that so how I typically do the skills is I put a table and then I hide the lines of that table. So in that table, I'm able to differentiate. No, so I'm seeing a question. Your professional summary does not have to be long. It can just be 2 sentences, just highlighting what you do and what your value proposition to your prospective employer is, and that's fine. So for your skill, I think you might want to put it in a more structured format, where you're highlighting, like he said, your soft and your hard skills to show what you can do. So you can put it, so like how I typically do it, I put a table and then I use bullet points to separate my skills and create space. So I use a really small space to highlight the multiple skills that I have. So instead of having it in just one side, you can also have on the other side of the screen other skill sets, that will sort of like shrink the space that skills is taking on your CV. In terms of your work experience, I would advise you use like a slash. So I would advise you start with the name of the company first. So the name of the company, it doesn't have to be in like italics. So you put the name of the company, then you can use a slash to then put the location of the company and then your role in that company and then the date on the other side. So the next thing that then starts is should now be you describing what you've achieved within that role that you performed. All right. So try to take note of those changes that we've made. So your the name of the company, the location, your role, and then the date on the other side, and then you can start describing in detail, the value that you've added within that organization. And then I feel like with that, you're also going to save space because that's also like making your CV longer. Project manager, put everything in one line, including the date, and then start by describing your job description in 2 to 3 bullet points. You should be able to have said something punchy you did per role so that you don't have your CV being too long. All right. So let's scroll up a bit. Let me see the other part of your CV. Okay, so the same thing, arrange it in a better way. And then instead of just list, because all you've done here is you've listed out your responsibilities. I'm not seeing any value. I'm not seeing any achievement. I'm not seeing any quantification. So ensure that you include in describing your job in a role, that you include quantifiable achievements that people can make reference to and be inspired to want to have you on a conversation for. So let's scroll up. Remember, not all your experience has to go on your CV. Only pick the ones that are relevant to the job that you're applying for. All right. So let's keep scrolling. So now you already had experience as a project manager and a scrum manager. You don't need to include your software project manager internship role again, because you already have the ones that are more intensive, that are more experience based. Okay. So scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. See, it's not everything that you have to put. Now, this can form your master CV, but if you want to apply for a job as a scrum master or like agile project manager, you need to just pick 3 key experiences that are very fundamental and relevant to the role that you're applying for and expatiate on them. Right? You don't have to put everything on your CV because it's only going to make it too long. And most recruiters don't have the time. Even your experience in youth service might not be relevant in this case. Junior scientist is not a relevant experience for you right now as a project manager. So take it out of your CV. Okay. Lead customer service rep. So I keep saying you can have a master CV where you can document everything, but then in the job that you want to apply for, if you're applying for the role of a project manager, only relevant experiences should be included there. All this lead customer service is not important. Junior scientist is not important. It's what is making your CV too long. Your CV should be maximum 1.5 pages to be able to communicate your value to your prospective employer. Scroll up, scroll up. Let me see the rest of it. Education. Please pause. So I would advise you start with the name of the school, the location of the school, and then the time you started the program to the end of it. What you just put here is September 2019. You need to include those details. Then you can come down and describe it as like Bachelor of Science, Plant Biology. And then if you have any other thing you want to flaunt with respect to your education, include it there. So improve that education description that you have on your CV. In terms of your certifications and training, you don't need to have additional, just put certifications and trainings, and then you put the training, what is on the certification. Is it certificate of completion, certificate of achievement? Put it there. Certificate of completion, customer service skill training. Only relevant training and certification should be included here in reverse chronological order. So the most recent should come before the least recent. So it should be certified Scrum Master first before customer service. In fact, that customer service is not even relevant in this case. So the most recent certification should come above like every other one. And I hope that with that, your CV would look better. So work on all of these things that we've highlighted here, and I believe that you will land more roles with your CV. So let's have the other person, I think it's Promise. Very quickly, please share your screen. Let's have a review for you quickly. So who's the next person that I pointed? I keep forgetting his name now. I think his name is. What's his name now? Can't remember his name. Is he on this call? Promise Oluwasemilore Emmanuel. Promise, are you here?
Yes, I am, but I can't share my screen.
So why did you type ready?
I'm unable to share my screen.
But the
Only
instruction was if you are able to share your screen, type ready, and you typed ready. That means you're able to share your screen, and I selected you.
It's only the host can share in
That's
this
fine.
meeting.
Promise. Let's have. Okay, you're not able to share your screen. Is that what you're saying? Solomon, please, can you? Okay, I'm going to just do. All participants can now share their screen.
Okay, I'll
So
do
you
that
can share
now.
your screen now. Promise, you can share your screen now. You have been enabled. Promise, Oluwaseun, can you hear me?
You are audible.
Okay. I can hear you, sir.
Yes, please share your screen. You can share now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to be taking some questions on the slide because we have not even gone over the, like we're already 2 hours on the clock and we've not gone over cover letters. Okay, so I might not be able to take Promise because she's wasting so much time now. I think I'll just go back to the class and let's finish up with cover letter, and then once we're done, we can come back if we have time. I think someone was asking a question.
Leave the meeting.
Promise, what you're sharing is your certificates.
Yes, the mistake.
So someone's asking on the chat, should the skill come before the work experience? Really, it's about your preference. People like to have their skills before, their work experience. So like I said, it has to be based on what is important to you. So if your work experience is what you want to shine a light on, then that should come above your skill. It just really depends on your needs. And that was why I was taking you through the anatomy so that you can see the various elements and then you can decide which one comes first for you. So it's largely going to be based on your own personal preference. And like I already answered the question on professional summary. It doesn't have to be too long. Guys, do we want to take a break before we come back for cover letter, or we can just continue the class?
Yes, want a break.
Okay, so let's do like a 15 minutes break, and then we're back by. Yeah, so just take a stretch, walk, drink water, you can have some quick snack. We should be back here by 12:17. Okay, so let's take that break. You can take the break now, guys. You can just go. You can take a.
So I have a question. Is it when we get back, or can I ask now?
Okay, what question do you have? I can just take your question if you don't want to go for the break.
Okay. In terms of fonts and the spacing, what's the best font type that one can use? No, the font size rather. And when it comes to the type of is it the format? We have New Time. It was New Time Roman I actually use, and I use a spacing of 1.5. So what's the best font size for creating a CV? And also maybe the type as well. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. That's my first question. And my second, okay.
So for font type, for font style, people, there's one that I've really enjoyed. There's Helvetica. There's like Helvetica. There's Garamond. There is Georgia. There's Cambrai. So there's Cambrai. There's Georgia. There's Helvetica. These are like best practice font style to use on your CV. So some people use Arial. So it just depends on which one works or which one looks better for you. But I mean, you can use a host of various fonts style. So for some people like to use Verdana. Some people use Verdana. Some people use Helvetica. Some people use Garamond. Times New Roman looks very basic. So Times New Roman looks very basic. So it really just depends on which one looks better. So you can just try a couple of, CV. I think you can just go on Google and type which is the best CV format. I know some people recommend Cambaria, Georgia, there's Guramond, there's Verdana. You can just, like play around this font style. In terms of font size, ideally, I would say font size 11 to 12 is legible enough because it's a digital CV, right? So most likely that will be really it will be very legible for people to read online. So you can do font size 11 to 12. In terms of spacing, you just have to be creative. You go to the spacing and take out space before and after a paragraph, right? And then generally across the CV, you can just use your own discretion to play around spacing. So you can play within the range of 1 to 1.5. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. My second question is, okay, in my current job, right, I work as a project manager and also a scrum master. So it's like 2 in 1 role. So is it okay to put that in my role or my CV to say maybe project manager / scrum master, or I should just pick one and stick to it?
I think you can put both.
Okay.
Project manager / scrum master. Or you can say scrum master project manager. You just, like getting creative with it.
Okay, that's fine. And lastly, I don't know if you can share your LinkedIn profile link with us through the chat so that we can follow you and connect with you. Thank you very much. That's all.
Awesome. You can just find me on LinkedIn, Praise Innocent. You see me there. My profile is very easy to find. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So for those who are joining, we're actually on a break, but if you have a question you want to ask, then you just take the break to ask the question. Christian Onyinyechi. Okay, some boy, and please use the raise hand function so we're in order and I don't call.
Okay.
Can I ask?
I have a question.
Oh,
Yes, please go ahead, Onyinyechi.
Please,
Some boy, please use the raise hand function. All right, so you go next. So the person's hands I'm seeing up is Onyinyechi. So Onyinyechi, please go ahead.
Okay.
okay, before I go with the question, thank you for what you just shared. I really learned a lot, but I'm still learning. I think what I really want to ask is, for the CV, if eventually you don't have your system with you, can you use your phone to get a CV?
Your phone. So
And
to be
yes, and secondly, I think I want you to help us with some of the screenshots of those your own CV format, because I think I was using the YouTube to learn before I came back to Zoom. So I don't know if you can, send it as a screenshot to the WhatsApp group or here. I don't know.
So what I can do is I can send a couple of CV templates to the facilitator, to your coordinator, and
okay.
then they'll share it with your class.
Wow.
About the first
Wow, thank you
question
very
you
much.
asked.
Yeah.
So what was the first one you asked again?
Okay, I asked, can one who is having issues with system or stuff, can he or she
Okay,
make use of
phone.
her
Doing your
phone?
CV on your phone. Doing your CV on your phone is not very efficient, to be honest with you. The best way to write a CV is to either go to a cafe and ask them for a time to create one for yourself, or some people like to use AI tools, but AI generated CVs are not the most efficient because I like to advise you to write your CV because it's your story. Artificial intelligence is not going to tell your story in the best possible way. They can only help you refine it, but they're not going to tell your story. So you have to do the heavy lifting of writing your CV by yourself.
Okay. Wow. I think I still have another question, and that should be you talked about the email address, and I think I saw in the first one you did, I saw where you said is it some little funny name and then a number. In my own address, email address, I have a number because they insisted I must add a number. So is it wrong for me to add a number? Because you said we should add characters, not numbers.
I mean, you can have a number on your
Okay,
CV.
okay,
You can, but I mean, it doesn't just look really professional anyways, but then you don't have a choice most times because someone has already taken the name that you want to use. But if you know
yeah,
that
yeah.
your name is very unique, like a local name that's on your CV, right? You can use special characters to try to get a unique expression of your name on CV, on email.
Okay, okay. No problem. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. The next person we have is Onone Uno. Please go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the class. I have
Good afternoon.
a question. You've made mention of writing the work experience based on the job you're applying for. But in situations where I'm applying for a job that I do not have a job experience, a work experience for, how do I write the work experience and the skills? Example, an electrical engineer that is trying to get a job in a bank to work as a cashier or a customer service representative, and this person has not taken volunteering jobs for customer service or being a cashier before. So how do we go about writing the work experience in that situation?
That's a very tricky question because, I mean, so it depends. Some banks are actually open to receiving people who do not have the specific experience to join them, right? Um, but I'm going to say that if you do not have the experience, you're not going to manufacture experience. If you do not have any other thing to add, then you have to work with what you already have, right? What I'm saying is it might give you a disadvantage. You need to do the hard work of gaining experience in the relevant area you want to delve into. So if it's customer service you want to do, what personal development effort have you taken that positions you as the right person for a customer service role? But I'm going to say on your CV, you're not going to go and lie and manufacture an experience you do not have. What you're going to do is try to identify transferable skills. So, for example, we know that customer service professionals, what they do is they troubleshoot and they solve problems for customers. So, if you have an engineering background, you can just be highlighting the fact that you have built your critical problem solving skills, in a way that enables you effectively solve problems for so for example, okay, my question to you is that do you have other experiences that are not, like tailored to customer service that you can put on your CV?
Yeah, like the currently I'm a core member, serving in a power plant, a generating power plant, an electrical engineer. So if I work here, I've gained experience in the substation, that's generation and distribution of power. So how do I tailor it to suit my banking interest?
Okay, so I'm going to be real with you. There's no way to tailor. There's really no way to tailor it because, first of all, banks are not very strict on, or do you have previous experience? So if you want to join a bank as an entry level person and the only experience you have is in engineering, I feel like where you can communicate your continuous interest in finance will be in certifications, right? But you're not going to now twist a science-based experience to now make it customer service experience. It's going to be really hard. What I'll say is just keep the focus on describing your accomplishments within that experience, right? And then find other ways to communicate your continued interest in a specific area. Because what most banks would do is they put you into their training school and they train you from ground up. They know that you don't have any experience. So don't think too much about it, about trying to tweak your science-based experience to now suit into customer service because you do not have the experience, right? What I'm saying is if you have the experience, that is an opportunity for you to shine. But for your case, you do not. You just need to continue with the experience you have. You need to include your NYSC experience on your CV. and highlight the achievements that you made within that role. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Stone Boy, you're next.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Though I have a similar question with the last person I just asked the question because I'm also a core member. So my question is in the area whereby you are undergoing some courses and the only experience you are having as a new graduate is maybe your PPA where you are serving, but you have an area of interest, your career path. Okay, my career path is HRM, that is human resource, and you have undergone some courses on that career path. Why writing your CV? Is it during in the aspect of certifications that you will put it, or can it serve as the work experience? Or
It cannot serve as work experience. What does work experience mean? Work experience is that you've worked somewhere and you've gained experience. So and like, what is your like original background? Like, what did you study? Like, what's your background in?
okay, I studied business administration.
Yeah, that's still in line now. Still in line with HRM. You can just,
Yes.
so like, have you gained any work experience so far?
Apart from no.
So what are you doing in your PPA right now?
Okay, I'm a tutor. I'm a computer tutor.
You're a computer
So
tutor.
yeah.
Do you have other volunteering or leadership engagement that sort of like aligns with your interest in HRM?
Currently, no.
That's
I'm
the
just
thing.
taking
So I keep
because
telling people, it's really not about having CV and having all of that. If you want to get something, you need to put in the work to get it. As a fresh graduate, you said that you want to build a career in human resource management. Have you even started considering certifications in like in human resource? I know that there are a lot of HR internship opportunities that are everywhere on social media that you can find. You just go on Google, HR internship in Lagos, HR internship in XYZ. Even if it's to do it remotely, you
I
might have
have
been
applied.
posted to, sorry?
I'm sorry to cut you. I've applied. I've sent some maybe emails requesting, but I've not gotten any reply. So since I was in camp, I started applying for internships and for HR intern.
Okay. So
I've
if I
not
look
got.
at, okay, so let me ask you one very interesting question. What personal development steps have you taken in line with your interest in human resource management?
Okay. Um, I have I've undergone a professional course both on Udemy and Coursera. Then I'm currently doing a data analysis because I did HRM analytics. So then I am seeking admission under CIPM, that is Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. So they have not granted that. So currently I'm taking a diploma course on Udemy and as well going for data analytics class because I just finished doing HR analysis last month. So
Okay.
that's
So let me give you some advice. So something that you can do on your CV. You said that you're currently a tutor. So I think that there's a way to create your experience. Now you can be creative, you can be a bit flexible than Onone, because Onone is in a strictly like trying to just move from science to finance. So it's a bit difficult. But for you in education, you're teaching students computer science. Is there a way you can create the experiences that you have in your PPA to say that you were helping students to decide, which class to get into, whether art science or commercial? That is related to HRM. You are providing career counseling sessions for students within your PPA. There's a way to communicate all of that value still within your current experience. So let's say that that's the only experience you have. Is that the only experience you have on your CV, your PPA experience? Have you done any other thing?
yes. No. And just
Okay.
the thing is saying now, I used to do it because currently this time that they had to share classes, that was one of the training I had with them. So I had a
Exactly.
class.
So these are some of the things that you can highlight on your CV. So if you put the name of the school, you put what you did, you can just highlight and intentionally take initiatives to do things around human resource management because you have to take steps towards what you want to achieve. If you know that you want to be the career in human resources, you need to start positioning yourself. You need to start positioning yourself in a way that communicates your value. I think that the classes will be back on now. I don't. I would have to leave you guys by 1 p.m. at max. So I hope this has been helpful for you, Simbon.
Sorry,
So you
hi,
need to.
hello. Sorry, I have a
Hi.
question.
So please, there's actually a queue. There's Ayo, there's Faith,
Oh,
and I
okay.
cannot.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I asked them to use the raise hand function, but I think we're already out of time. So some boy, I don't know if what I said is making sense. So take initiatives within your small space to do things around your interests. So if you want to build a career in human resource, all the things you're learning from Udemy, you're learning from Coursera, can you suggest initiatives within your school? Suggest it to the head principal. Oh, these are some of the things that we can implement in your school. These are the kind of story. I swear to God, these are the kind of stories that you can create. That when you go for an interview and they heard that, oh, like when I was doing my PPA, I was the one that suggested developing a career center for the school that I was assigned to. That was your birth child. You came up with that idea, you implemented it, and you initiated it. If you are recruiting for a HR internship pro with other people and you have done something like this, I bet you dollars to donuts that you're going to take precedence because it takes initiative to do something. It's not about saying you have interest in HRM, you need to actively take steps that communicates that interest in HRM. So within your small space, look for ways that you're going to add value, you know, within your interest sphere. So you can suggest career counseling sessions, you can suggest career day for students in that school. And then all of these things is intentionally helping you build things that you're going to speak about when you're done with your NYSC. So by the time you're done with your NYSC, you have done 1,000,001 things in human resource within your small space. It's about taking initiative. And when you do that, you put it on your CV and you shoot in, you can even put it there, like computer tutor / career coach as your job description, because that's exactly what you're doing. And then you apply for human resource opportunities. And I can always say, seek for volunteering opportunity beyond internship. Find volunteer organizations that you can join. And once you join them, tell them, oh, I want to volunteer as maybe like a people coordinator or like a HR manager or like HR associate. Just find a way to volunteer. Those opportunities will come to you if you position yourself right. I hope this has been very helpful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to get back to class. I know I said the class would end around. We are going to come back here by 12:17, but it's been.
Hi, Praise. Yeah, good afternoon.
Hi.
Yeah, Tony Solomon. Okay, so
Hi.
I just want to mention that putting up the attendance link now on the chat box. So I would also be launching the poll. Okay, so I just want to
So
also
I'm struggling to hear you, Solomon.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be putting up the attendance link now on the chat box, and I'll also be launching the poll on the platform. So the students are not expected to make use of the two options. It's either they use the attendance link or they make use of the poll. So so that we don't have duplicates of attendance.
Okay. Yeah, so like
Yeah,
I'm sure they
so
heard you. So you guys can go ahead to.
yeah, so I'll be doing that now. So they should look out for it.
All right. All right. Thanks, Solomon. So
Thank
guys,
you
we don't
very
have a lot
much.
of Yeah, we don't have a lot of time, so we have to really speed up.
Please
Um,
ask questions, sir.
hey, I know you have a question, but I
Hello,
need to
sir.
go over the other session. Hi, can you hear me? Ayo?
Sir, I wanted to drop my CV, but first I must commend you, sir, for all your time, sir. Honestly, you've done great. You spoke just like a counselor, pertaining everybody from the other lady to this other person. You did amazingly great, sir. It's not part of the program, but we commend you, sir. Please, let me just share my CV. It's not bulky, it's just a one-page CV. Just take a look at it and then you close up, please, sir.
You guys want to keep me. I need to leave here by 1 p.m. I have not gone over the cover letter. Okay, cool. So share your CV. Let me see. Because you asked
Okay,
nicely.
sir. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it, sir. I'm a master student of Nigerian Defense Academy. Presently, sir. So all my entire career has been in the military circles. So I schooled in Nigerian Ministry of Technology. I
I can't
finished
see
there
your
and now
screen. If
went
you're
over
sharing
to
your screen, I
do.
can't see your screen.
Yes, I'm sharing my screen now, sir.
No,
Yes, I'm
I
doing
can't see
that.
your screen.
Sorry.
Okay.
Please just give me a minute,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So you were
Yeah,
just like
it's
giving
trying.
interludes. Oh, you were giving me some interludes before you share your screen. It's fine. You can go ahead. You
No,
say
like
what you're saying.
I'm sharing it. Okay. It's my first time trying to share through my Zoom, so it needed some permission from me. Thank you. All right, let me go ahead and do that. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, sir. Okay, so let me get straight to my file manager where I store my CV. This is a minute. Okay, sorry, I just passed it.
So I'm not seeing the movement on your screen anyways. It's just your...
All right, sir, can you see it now?
We can see your screen, but we can see your CV.
Hello, can you see it now, sir?
I think it's moving now. Yeah, I think so what I can see is your file manager. Is he Ayo, can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
His village people are after him. Abeg would have to go back to the class because I think he's having network issues. I don't have all the time. I need to leave here by 1 p.m. So guys, let's go back to my presentation. Okay, so these were like a couple of examples of good CVs that so we're just doing. I was going to show you some examples of some good CVs, and this is how to present it. So in terms of formatting, everything should be aligned, right? You can use lines to separate sections if you want it, or you can creatively put it with like capitalized headers. So you can go with your education first, then your professional experience, depending on your preference, really, and then your volunteering experience. And that's what this person had on the CV. Now, this person says here, yeah,
I'm sorry, Chris, so the attendance link is on the chat box now. And please, the poll too will be launched now. Please, let's not use it. It's either we make use of the poll, the meeting poll, that's for the attendance, or we make use of the link. So any of the two. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please make use of the poll or the attendance link in the chat to sign up for your attendance. Okay, so I was just speaking about some of the ways that you can present your CV. So you can go with this I'll just share some CV templates with the coordinators and they'll forward it to you. So health and safety officer, your location, phone number, your country code, professional email address, LinkedIn URL. Your professional description can come here, and then relevant work experience, education, and skills. You can see the way they broke it down, technical and industry knowledge. So that just really depends on your own discretion. So I would say your CV can be 1.5 pages where if you want to include other things like your volunteering and your leadership experience, that should come in handy. But then try to keep it very short and simple. How I save space is I put the name of the company, the location, and my role in the same line so that I don't have to have this extra space here, so just so that my CV looks, I have enough space to walk around. Okay. So these are also other examples of good CVs. You can use lines, like I said, to separate sections to make it look more presentable. You can so see the way this person like presented their professional summary here, and then went straight into training and skills. You can see it here, and then before their professional experience, detailing everything that they've done and quantifying their achievements and accomplishments. Same thing here. This is the way it looks. You can present it in this format very succinctly, and that should really help you present your CV in a good manner. So you see the way it's aligned is appealing. If you look at it, it's something you want to read, right? It's not too cumbersome. So those are examples of really good CVs. And now we're going to go into what a cover letter or cover email is about. Now, we've talked about CV and the cover. Now we're going to talk about the cover letter. Now, the CV and your cover letter comes together as a complete application packet, right? Most job application that you would apply for require you to send in your CV and cover letter. I know I saw on the chat someone was asking, after CV, what next? After CV and cover letter, what next is to apply for a job. So go and look for job opportunities that you are fit for and begin to send in those applications. Now, the cover letter is the other leg of your complete application packet. Now, what is a cover letter? A cover letter is also known as an application letter. It is a 3 to 4 paragraph memo to employers explaining your interest in the job, the company, and your fitness for the role. All right. It is typically submitted alongside your resume in a job application. So it is part of a complete application packet. Your CV goes with your cover letter. Now, not every job requires you to submit a cover letter, but if it's better it goes to the cover letter than it doesn't go to the cover letter, because the cover letter can really differentiate your application from the next person's application, because people are really lazy to write cover letter. So if you take the pain to write a cover letter, most times it gives you a competitive edge. Now, what is a cover mail? Now, a cover mail is simply a cover letter in an email. A cover mail is simply a cover letter in an email. It was coined to take the place of what traditionally would be a cover letter. However, it is briefer than a cover letter. It is more brief than a cover letter, but yet it's yet effective, and it is done via your email. So you know when they say, oh, if you apply for a job, send your CVs to. A lot of applicants many times do not stay competitive by only attaching their CVs and sending it to that email. It is wrong for you to make an application via email and the only thing that you're attaching is just your CV. You need to include a cover email, a cover mail, which is a professional way to present your application. Let me tell you what a lot of HR people do. If they say, oh, apply, if you're interested in this role, kindly send your CV to our email. If you send just your CV, what the HR manager most likely will do is delete your application, because some people would include a subject, some people will write a comprehensive cover email and attach their CV. That is a proper way to apply for a job via email. Except you're applying via an application portal. If it's going to be via email, a cover letter and a cover mail are critical. Some people even go the extra mile. They will write a cover letter, they will attach their CV, attach the cover letter, and attach a cover email as well. The job market is very competitive, and you need to do everything within your power to stand out. Now, what are some important points to note when it comes to cover letter? Personalization is key to writing a compelling cover letter or email. The expectation is to have unique cover letters or emails for every job application that you make. Someone is writing on my screen. If I catch you, I will break that your device you're using to join this meeting. If it was a physical class, would you be writing on my screen? Because you can do it on Zoom. Please, if you're the one writing on my screen, kindly clear it off from my screen. I don't want to see it. Please check your end. All these things distract the class. So the next point, for the first point when I spoke about personalization is, you know that a cover letter is an application letter. It means that you are writing a letter to somebody. It is a personalized letter. You cannot have a generic cover letter. It doesn't work. You can use one CV, right, to apply for multiple finance roles, but you cannot use one cover letter to apply for multiple finance roles. You know why? Because your cover letter has to be specific to the organization you're applying to. Your cover letter has to be personalized to the company that you're applying to because it's a letter. You are not Paul in the Bible that writes generic letter to the church in Antioch. You're not, I mean, forgive, like apologies to people who are not Christians here. I'm sorry. But the point I'm trying to drive home is that your cover letter has to be specific to the organizations you're writing it to. In fact, it can be specific to a person, either the hiring manager or the specific person who put out the call for that role. The next point to note, a good way to create a response-producing cover letter is to highlight your skills or experiences that are most applicable to the job or industry and to tailor the letter to the specific organization you're applying to. The third point to note, while cover letters are not always required, many hiring managers still rely on them to gauge an applicant's skill, experience, and background. Please do not regurgitate your CV, only expound on them. Set context. So if on my CV, I'm saying I've been able to exceed revenue target by XYZ amounts within the tenure which I was in this organization, in your cover letter, you're saying through XYZ initiatives, you're giving more context to what you've said in your CV. Through XYZ initiative, I have been able to, do XYZ in terms of revenue. So you're not regurgitating your CV. However, you are expounding and expatiating on it. You're setting context and you're giving the person who is going to read your letter more reasons to want to look at your CV. Many times, they look at your cover letter first before they go to your CV. I bet you dollars to donuts, if your cover letter is trash, they will not waste their time reading your CV because they will assume that your CV is wrong. And that is why it is important to get the both of them right. And that is why you are in this class. The final point to note is that your cover letter can form part of the recruitment considerations, as some hiring managers use it to assess your written skills. Now, many hiring managers would, like I said before, they would not look at your CV if your cover letter is trash, because if you do not do a good job with your cover letter, they would automatically assume that your CV is rubbish. They use it to also gauge your writing skills. Can you write or construct sentences very well? Are your tenses correct? And is it error-free? These are the things that they'll be looking out for. So your cover letter has to be excellent. What are the elements of a cover letter or cover email? Now let's look at this. I've been able to, I got this really interesting anatomy, so I don't have to, like explain it in bits by bits. You can see everything in one go. Now, for the cover letter, so this is an example of a cover letter by the left-hand side, an example of a cover email on the right-hand side. If I told you what I went through to get this description. So let's see what has been done. For cover letter, you need to use a complete address. The contact name, by contact name, you're talking about the contact of the organization. So if you know the name of the person who you are addressing the letter to, ideally what this means is the address of the company. So I would say, for example, if you're applying for the role of a data analyst, I would say the HR department or the HR unit, Tells Impact Consulting, that's the name of the company, and then I'll include the name, the address of the company, XYZ, XYZ. So you have to do your research, right? The next thing is you need to have a salutation. Address it to a particular person if possible, and remember to use a colon. Now, see the reason why we say that a cover letter is personal. There's an emphasis on personalization. If you know the name of the hiring manager in that organization, it is best to include their name. Dear Alice, dear like Bamidele, if you know the name of the person. But I advise people just to be safe than sorry. The best practice way to go is dear hiring manager. The hiring manager does not necessarily have to be the HR person within the organization. It could even be a team member that wants to hire for a role. So best bets is dear hiring manager, and use a comma, not a colon actually. Use a comma. The next thing that we're going to look into is your opening paragraph. You need to state why exactly are you writing this letter. So I'm writing to apply for the role of a data analyst at Tel's Impact Consulting. I had come across, if you want to go the extra mile, you can say I had come across the job ad on LinkedIn, and it piqued my interest for XYZ reasons. Looking forward to join your organization where I can contribute to driving your overall objective. That's an opening paragraph. You have set the context of what you're writing. The next thing is the middle paragraph. This is where the major cocoa is. This is where you're going to now sell yourself. I can start by saying, in my previous role as a data intern at Net Factory Company, I was able to drive XYZ results by doing XYZ and doing XYZ. I have been able to hone my skill set through XYZ certifications in like Udacity, which has overall improved my skills in data visualization, data analysis, and data collection. You are literally just going to be selling yourself within the main paragraph. That's where you're going to do everything around talking about your skills, your experience, and your expertise for that role. Remember, in your opening paragraph, you have personalized it to why you're applying to the company. You have said that you want to contribute to the objectives. You have spoken about the so you have personalized it to the company. And that's why you cannot use one cover letter for multiple job applications. So it has to be personalized. After you're done, so the middle paragraph can be broken into two. That's why I said, like I said here in the previous slide, that your cover letter involves so a 3 to 4 paragraph, exactly. So it can be 3 or 4 paragraphs. Now, you can break down the middle paragraph into 2. You can use one to describe your experience. You can use the other one to describe your skills. But if it's not a lot, you can put it all together in one paragraph. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to make the paragraph so long, so much that it becomes so boring to read, right? Because having white spaces in your letter enables readability. So you can, depending on what you want to say, or depending on how much you want that job or what you want to really emphasize, you can decide to have either 3 or 4 paragraphs in your cover letter. Then the final paragraph is speaking about the closing paragraph. My God, I'm out of time. The closing paragraph is basically where you reiterate your interest in the role or in the position and communicate. And you can also do a couple of things here. One, you can reiterate your interest in the position and communicate your enthusiasm, for joining the organization. You can thank the reader for his or her consideration. So thank you so much for taking the time to review my application. Kindly find attached my CV for your action. One thing that stands out here is a call to action. There's something that is called a CTA, call to action. Always include a call to action in your cover letter. What is that call to action? Tell them something that they're going to do. So how this person ended here, it says, thank the reader for their consideration of your application. And at the end, state they are looking forward to the opportunity to discuss this position. So how I usually end my cover letter, I'll say, thank you so much for, I'll say, I've attached my resume, to this application for your perusal. I look forward to being invited for an interview to further communicate my interest and fit for the role. Thank you so much for your consideration. That's how I end my, because I've included a call to action, which is for them to invite me for an interview so that I can further communicate my interest and fit for the role. I hope that makes sense. Now let's look at the anatomy of the cover email. What is involved in a cover email? I'm so sorry. I missed one last part. The last part of your cover letter is your sign off. You always need to sign off your cover letter, yours sincerely and your name. Always close your cover letter. Always close your cover letter at the end of it. And that's all about cover letter. Now, we're going to look at the anatomy of a cover email. What is involved? There's something called a subject line. In your email, don't send an application without including a subject. That is going to take your application straight to the trash. Always include a strong subject line. Many times, when you see the call for the application, they will tell you what to include in the subject line. Some people will say, in the subject line, include application for XYZ. But if they don't tell you, please include it. Create your own. Find a strong subject line and create it. So this person says, senior software engineer seeks software development team lead position with XYZ. That is his own subject line. You can be creative with your own. You can say, application for the role of a data analyst at TIC. Or you can say, there was one I heard, someone was sending out an application. They said, the best executive assistant you would ever hire. That was her subject line, because she wanted it to catch the attention of the person who was going to review her application. But what is important was that she included the subject line. The next thing you need to pay attention to, include the email and the recipient's address. So the address of the person you're sending it to, include it. And many times, if it's not the company's HR email and you're sending it to a person's email, it is best to use the person's name, because you already know the person's name. That will make them want to read the letter a bit more. So this person is sending that letter to this person, and he included Dear Alice. If you have their email, most likely you have their name, but just say you don't even know the name from the email. You can still go with Dear hiring manager. Always include a personal greeting or salutation. The next thing, which is the first sentence, is still almost the same principle as the cover letter. Introduce why you're applying. Writing to apply for the role of XYZ at your company, the same kind of thing, but then it's not going to be as detailed as it will be in a cover letter, because the email, if your email is too long, it will be hard to read. So you need to make it succinct. You need to make it short, brief, and sweet. So the same principle applies in terms of writing on the email address, opening paragraph, middle paragraph, and closing paragraph. Closing paragraph, see where the person included a call to action. Can we schedule a meeting to discuss my insight and ideas on making XYZ achieve software development quicker and more effective while boosting all major KPIs? They included a call to action as their closing paragraph. And then he says, sincerely, his name, formal sign off. Now, one of the major mistakes people do is that when they finish writing this beautiful cover email, they forget to attach their CV and they send the email. Best practice, attach your email first. Attach your CV first, sorry. Attach your CV first before writing the cover email, because many times you might be too excited with what you have written and you just click on send and then it just goes without your attachment. Imagine sending your application without your, imagine going to the farm without your tool. And then you send this really interesting cover mail and there's no CV attached. So best practice, include the CV first before writing the cover email. And that is all you need to know about writing a cover letter and a cover email. I hope this has been very insightful. Now, what are the general tips about writing a winning CV? General tips for a great cover letter. Sorry, I'm trying to rush through because I need to leave here by 1. General information tips around writing a comprehensive or a compelling cover letter is: address your letter to a specific person if you can. Tailor your letters to specific situations or organizations by doing research before writing your letters. So, like I said, personalization is key for your cover letter. Personalization is key for your cover letter. Keep your letters concise and factual, no more than a single page. No more than a single page. Avoid flowery language. This is not a poetry roadshow. It is an official communication. So don't go and start saying, oh, so you know how people use flowery words and say things like, oh, I look forward to the transformative, contribution of my skills to your organization. You're not trying to woo them. This is not Shakespeare. You need to communicate in a formal and respectful tone. Give examples that support your skills and qualifications in the middle paragraph, where it can be divided into, 2 paragraphs in that sense. So that's where you're going to show yourself, show them who you are, show them what you can do. Then put yourself in the reader's shoes. What can you write that will convince the reader that you are ready and able to do the job? This is a question I always ask myself at the end of writing a cover letter. That Prince, if I see this letter, just imagine I'm the HR person and I send this letter to myself. Will I want to read my CV, or would I even want to hire myself? That way, you keep yourself in check to do a good job writing a compelling cover letter. Do not overuse the pronoun I. I did this, I did that. You have to be very careful with the word I, because it can sound very individualistic. And if the company values teamwork, you can come off as a red flag where isn't too many I. There's a way to say something without using the word I. Do it creatively. Remember that this is a marketing tool, so use a lot of action words. Have a second and third proofread of your letter. There is no excuse. Like I said, some people use your cover letter to test your writing skills. They use it to know if it is really worth their time to look at your CV. So it has to be error-free. Have a second and third proofread of your letter. If you're converting your cover letter to a PDF, check that the formatting has translated correctly. Reference skills or experiences from the job description and draw connections to your credentials. Finally, make sure your resume and cover letter are prepared with the same format and font type and size. That is really based on your description. But I mean, I like to keep the cover letter the same format as my CV. And this picture that is here also has some tips for you. It says go beyond the resume. I already said that. Don't regurgitate your resume. Give context. Give us more details of what you achieved. Write a custom cover letter. Speaking about personalization, you can't use the same cover letter for every app. It has to be personalized. Try to find a contact person, personalization still. Be yourself while remaining polite and professional. Edit and proofread your letter carefully. So those are the tips from this cartoon figure here. So please take his advice seriously. This is an example of a cover letter. Because for the sake of time, we've already gone through the elements. I'm sure you guys know what exactly is involved in the cover letter. But this is an example. The person says, "Dear Harry, manager, I would like to communicate my strengths in the role, blah, 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 in the XYZ company." Fine. So that's basically what it is. Then the next paragraph, he goes on to communicate his skills. Well, my key skills are well demonstrated in over how many years of work experience I've had, areas of work. Currently, I work as a this, focusing on this, where my attention to details and other things are essential to the success of my team and project. The next paragraph says I have acquired an understanding of XYZ concept. So you can even discuss the industry, discuss the role, to show that you know what you're talking about. And then finally, the person in their final statement said, I believe I am prepared to handle the exciting challenges this position presents, and I hope you allow me to further discuss my qualifications with you in an interview. That is what a call to action. I have attached a copy of my resume to this application for your review. Please let me know if you require additional information. Thank you for your time and consideration. Regards, Maschep. So that's all we have on cover letters. Here is an epic fail of what a cover letter should not look like. And here's another good example of a cover letter by, who wrote it? That Georgina Santiago. So Georgina said, so she included the name of the person, Miss Susanna Carey. That's the person she's writing to. So she knows the person. This person is a senior manager at Wholesale Wine USA XYZ. Dear Miss Carey, I'm writing to apply for the position. Blah, blah, blah. You guys know how it is. You see that hers is even almost five paragraphs. I feel like that's a bit too much. But anyways, you can just be creative around it. So remember, opening paragraph, middle paragraph, and your closing paragraph with your call to action, thanking them for their time and ensuring that you respond to them, in a good manner. So that's all that we have for this class. Any questions? I'm going to take questions slightly in 6 minutes. So please let me know if you have any questions about what we've just discussed now on cover letters. And I'll be more than excited to walk you through. And that's all from me, guys. I hope this has been a really interesting class for you and you've been learning so far. Okay, so let's take question. We have Ali Alice. Ali Alice, do you have any question for me? Quickly. Let's go.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is on the CV, because after the CV you did not give us is you said that we should start with our recent qualification, then go down. So I want to ask, in a case where you are in a school, is it okay to add in your CV, or you should leave it till when you are done with the school?
You can add it on your CV if in a school. You can just put it 2019 to present, or if you know the end date of your school program, you can include it like as that.
Okay,
I always include
thank you.
anything in your. Yeah, you're welcome. Let's have Dario Odunayo.
All right, thank you very much for the class. It was really an in-depth one. So my question is, sometimes when one is applying for a job, maybe through the job company itself, sometimes you see that cover letter is not compulsory. Maybe it's not asterisk, it's just put as option. Can one skip that or just go ahead by writing one? Because I usually
Like I
skip
said,
it, to be honest.
the job market is very competitive. So anything that you need to do to stay competitive, you need to do it. So if you have the time to apply to write a cover letter, please do. It can significantly improve your chances to land a role. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have Enifome Christopher. Please go ahead. Enifome Christopher, you're up next. We don't have all the time. Okay, let's have Peace Okpa.
Sorry. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the lessons. Lectures are very impactful. The question I want to ask is concerning the education. So you were saying that writing your school certs and your primary school certificates not necessary, except be required for. So my question is writing only your BXc at least, is it not want to be too lengthy? So as in just only one. I was thinking that maybe like now next fraction that this kind of program we are embarking on is just like a school. It can it be should we fit it under our education, or should it just be under training?
I think it should be under training. And then I think there's a way to position it that it doesn't look scanty. I don't know if you saw the one that I shared with you guys. Let me just quickly share my screen again.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay. I still have another question. Should I just ask that one, or I should hold on?
You can ask the second question while I share my screen.
Okay, thank you. The second question is concerning the email. Like in my Gmail, I just like Enifome Christopher. So my Gmail was Enidora30. Does it look official?
What's your name?
Enifome Christopher Takele. So I have one just like this. My name Enifome Christopher Takele at gmail.com. So I feel that it's too bulky. So I'm not shortening it down to Enidora30 at gmail.com.
Honestly, I mean, it doesn't sound professional, if you ask me. But I mean, I don't know. Some people might not mind, but it's better to have your name. So like, yeah, you could have any Christopher, like any Christopher or any Christopher, like 123 or 001 or something like that. You know, that has your name, right? It doesn't like so. If your email is for example, your name is any something. You can just do any .christopher@gmail.com. That is more professional than like any Dora. Dora sounds like a nickname. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Then the other one, the first one I was using before, I just stated on my full name, Enifome Christopher Takele at gmail.com. I felt
That's
that
too
it would be
long.
too
You can just
bulky.
do any. No, you don't have to have the entire thing. You can just do your first name and your last name, and that's it. You don't have to include the other one. Atekime. You can just do any .Christopher, and like if you need to add like number something, like if it's not unique enough, which I think it should be unique, you just do any Christopher@gmail.com. If it's not unique enough, you can include the dots should make it unique. If it doesn't make it unique, you can include a number, maybe 001 or something, or 0 or
Okay.
01. Yeah.
Okay. That means I have to create another new one.
Yes, and Gmail is free. So in terms of education, if you look at what I have here, see the way I presented this, Quantic School of Business and Technology, Washington, D.C., USA. The date of my program was here. The next thing I have here is the degree. If I want to write a Master's of Business Administration, it would have been too long, and I can make it long if I want to, but I just wanted to show you that you can get creative with it. The reason why we say don't include all those things is also to help you save space on your CV. Instead of having your secondary school education that will eat space, just your BSc should be enough. And then that space can help you contain even more things around volunteering, your work experience, and other things like that. And then your CV can even fit into one page. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, I can see it. I can see it. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. It's 1 o'clock. I'm going to take Peace because she has been an active participant. So, Peace, let's have you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for the class. It was really impactful. So my question is, I'm a law student, currently still a law student at the University of Lagos, and then I'm also into media. So I'm a media professional, and that's basically what I do. So when I was applying for jobs, or when I'm applying for jobs, I add a lot of my volunteer opportunities, and I've been volunteering for as long as I can remember, back in secondary school and everything. And so I have a long list of volunteering opportunities, of volunteering works I've done, and then my job. Sorry, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, also, and what I've done for them, and also things I do, like when I'm talking about my work experience, where I've worked in the media space and everything. So when I first did my first draft for my CV, I think my CV was like 5 pages, and because like I think my volunteer experience takes like about 2 pages already. So when people tell me, oh, you're supposed to put your CV to like 1.5 pages, I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, how am I supposed to squeeze everything into 1.5 pages and still make my CV stand out and be catching or something?
Absolutely, I get your question. So I understand why that would be a problem. So what I keep saying, I keep emphasizing the word relevant. It is important that the only thing that you're including in your CV is relevant. So for example, I said you can have a master CV. That master CV is as in a compendium of everything that you have done. And then you can now create another CV. Maybe for your law career, you can create a CV for your law career, and everything there is only things relating to the legal profession, right? That would then be your legal CV. Then you can have another CV that is everything containing your media engagement, everything you have done. That is where you can flex that muscle. Okay? So, but then it's not everything that you have done that you must showcase. You need to pick the one that is most relevant to that job. Which one would give you a bit more things to talk about in an interview? Which one is most closely related to what that company that you're applying to is doing? Those should be the things that should be included in your CV. Because to be honest, if your CV is too long, it's going to be nobody's going to have the time to read everything. So it has to be the relevant information only that should be in your CV. So you can have a master CV, you can have a legal CV, and you can have a media and communication CV if you want to. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, that also makes sense. Sorry, I also have one more question. So, I wanted to. Is there a major difference between CV and resume? I know you talked about it before, but I was not able to hear what you said because I think I was having network issues at that time. So, someone told me that your CV is different because I think my CV was named the resume because I wanted to submit it for an opportunity that was not in Nigeria at that point. So I changed the name of my CV to my resume in like the document name. So I sent it to somebody recently, and the person told me that it's supposed that there's a major difference between a CV and a resume. That a resume is I can't remember the exact wordings that the person puts, but the person told me that there's a major difference, and I wanted to ask.
Let me just. You wanted to ask me what?
No, and I wanted to ask if there was. I'm trying to like get the meaning, the difference that the person
So,
told me,
so to
so
be
I can
very
take
honest
it
with
out.
you, they are essentially the same document. So it's just a nomenclature by location thing. So in the US, people say resume. In the UK, they say employment CV. But ideally, they are the same document. It's the same thing. It's the same document. The only difference comes when we speak about academic CV. That's when we begin to see some specific differences because academic CV is a bit more longer. There's a lot of things that you need to include, publications, references should be there. All of those things is what makes an academic CV an academic CV. But when you talk about a US resume or UK employment CV, they are both the same thing. People use CVs and resumes interchangeably. All right, it's the same thing. I know a lot of people confuse, and that was why I started off with that difference because a lot of people
Yes.
have
I
that
couldn't hear what you were saying because
confusion.
of the network issues.
No, that's totally fine. If you look at this other part of the slide where I said resume and CV, this one says emphasis. I just think, to be very honest, they are the same thing. They are the same thing. People have all of this usual, trying to differentiate, but to be honest, those words can be used interchangeably.
Thank you so much for answering my question.
You're welcome. So, guys, I'm 5 minutes over my time. I apologize for those people I'm unable to take their questions, but if you can send it to the coordinators, they send it to me. I will try to respond via text to your questions. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience. We started off with 100 people, but now we're down to 75. I'm guessing people's like batteries went off because it's been a really long class. So thank you for paying attention, for asking questions, for being a really engaging class. So our volunteers who shared their CV. That was my friend's name again. I've forgotten her name now. I'm gonna find it. Don't worry. Oh my God, I can't find her name anymore. Okay, yeah, but to all my friends who volunteered, who raised their hands at some point to help out the class, thank you so much. I'm going to be with you guys next week. We're going to be discussing another part of the application journey, which is interviews. So pretty much look forward to that class. So side of your attendance, please fill in the attendance sheet and provide feedback on the class. I really would appreciate receiving feedback on how this class had fared so that it can help me improve on my sessions moving forward. Thank you so much for your time and do have a lovely rest of your day.
Can you hear me? Hello, please, can you hear me? Hello, guys. Yeah. Can anyone hear me? Good afternoon.
Yeah, me, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Good
Great.
afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. So the attendance will be displayed now. For those watching on YouTube, please, you don't have to go now. You can the attendance will be displayed now on the screen for you to fill. So the link will be displayed on the screen now. Please, apologies for the delay and the inconvenience. Exactly.
Yeah, but
Yes,
sorry,
thank you.
innocent. I've filled a particular
Okay.
form
So
on this link. You sent a link, so I filled. Is that not it's not included? The particular link you sent
can you
so
repeat
should
yourself?
fill one,
You're not audible
and I
now.
did. So what's this for?
Okay, no, it's the same attendance. Like I said earlier on, if you have filled the poll, you don't have to fill the attendance link. This particular one that is coming up now is for those that are yet to fill the attendance, the form.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's like about 80 people have filled, right? But there are still some people that are yet to fill.
Oh,
Yeah, we are
So,
encountering some issues. So
that
I'll
two
also
link was
post
sent
it
to us.
in
Are
the
we
chat
to fill the two links
for
now?
others to also fill on the chat box. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, this is the question.
Okay. Sure.
So can you see my screen now?
Mm.
Sorry, can you see my
Yes, we can see your screen.
Not at all, sir. We are not seeing
Not at all, sir. You're not saying anything, sir.
Please let me see this.
Okay, we can see now.
Hello, sir. Are you still there?
Can anybody hear me?
Can hear you, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
So I just want to
Yeah, we
ask,
can hear you.
are we going to get the slides? Hello, nobody is responding.
Mm-hmm. Nọ́mbà ó lè máa gbé lọ. Ṣé a máa gbé ògbàlagbà fáwọn ọmọ kan?
Èwo ló fẹ́ nu méjèèjì?
Nǹkan máa ní ìdí. Ó ti fẹ́ lọ àbí?
Títí bó ti fẹ́ ló kẹ́yìn pàṣẹ mọ̀ pọ̀.
Wọ́n bá yẹ kó ń bọ̀.
Bó ti dé ha.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Please, I need assistance because I'm a bit confused on what's going on here right now. My battery died. At the time when Mr. Praise was saying that his time was up. So coming here now, I'm seeing different things on the screen, and I don't really know what's going on. So
It's
if
like
anybody can
it's like
assist,
they
please.
it's like they said they want to display the attendance name. So, and I could not really understand what is actually going on. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are with you, sir.
It's fine. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. So since you guys are on the Zoom platform, can you hear me? Can you guys
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
I can hear you, sir.
Uh,